What's up and welcome back to the channel. You were listening to Ninja Knight. This is Chatterbox number 26. I know I'm like, okay, I can see the chat. The chat is absolutely roasting me. And rightfully so. I really appreciate that. I set tonight's live stream at 8 o'clock. I said to myself, that's giving myself plenty of time. And then we had a bit of a disaster with the equipment about 10 minutes ago, and I was like, oh no. Now someone will look in at this and say, hang on, Ninja, you went live at 2018 and you said 10 minutes ago, that's 8 minutes past. Yeah, look, time wasn't on my side this evening, so I'm just letting you know that that's why I'm late. You can be sure of two things. I will be here to talk about what's going on in the world as much as I can, and there's a very strong possibility that I'll be late. So listen, I really appreciate that because I can see an awful lot of people in the chat, and I really, really appreciate you giving up your time on a Friday night. You know, we like to laugh and joke. It's very important to do that. And it is important that we keep a sense of humor. Sense of humor are seriously important in these dark times. We're in the worst timeline possible, I think, guys. You know what I mean? Places in verse at the moment. Like, I seen a meme there yesterday, and it said, the only thing that's keeping me from going after Greedos is the government. And I was like, yeah, I can see where that's now applicable to everyday life. There was another story that came out there today, another guy with a suspended sentence that had all sorts of stuff on the laptop and the computer. You just look at this sort of stuff, and I'm going to show you one of the articles I have tonight, and you'll see what someone was threatened with jail with and what for. And the judge in question, you'll all know who the judge is by me even saying that. The one in question there has been up to all sorts of ridiculous sentences in the past. So look, I really appreciate you being in here on a Friday night. It's a beautiful day out. Amazing to see 64 people in here already. That's absolutely outrageous. It is. There's been a big change, I think, this week. This week's topic and focus is going to focus on Ireland and the hate speech nonsense that they want to put out here now in this country. If you're new to this channel, in the last couple of days, obviously I've been putting up videos with relation to action figures and collectibles. There's a very clear reason as to why I do that, but also because it's something I enjoy and it's part of the channel. I've said it to people before on streams, and I said, look, you know, if you think that this channel should focus on one thing and have a specific other channel for other things, let me know in the comments. I could appreciate that because feedback is good. And like, you know, the important thing to me is that this information gets out and that people know what's going on. And I know that the Irish stuff really hits record view numbers. It does because people are keen to know what's going on here. And I know some of the other stuff is a dime a dozen, as they say in America, obviously. So I don't really mind if someone says, hey, look, we would rather this channel say in one line. But I will say, and I'll be transparent when I say this, there's a very specific reason as to why there's not one line. You know, we like to use multiple lines here, and multiple lines have worked well so far. I've seen some of the others that have used one line, and it's obvious what's going on. I mean, you can see what happens with Philip and stuff like that. You can see what's happening there. It's easy to point the finger and go, well, hang on here. Well, look what's going on over here. And they, unfortunately, are doing that. Now, this stuff is going to ramp up, and I'm going to be doing a video as well, just giving my thoughts on this hate speech stuff. So if you feel like I gloss over it tonight, I'm not going to gloss over it because I'm going to put a video out as well additionally that's going to draw attention to that. Who's behind it, what it's about, what I think about it, some of the words that I would like to use within that video as well, and give you the meaning of those words, because we live in a point in time now, I think people aren't familiar with dictionaries, particularly these people in governments. Look, you know as well as I do that these people are just administrators. They're not selected by us. I mean, you're seeing them casually walk down the street now and people telling them that they're not going to vote for them anymore, and they just go, yeah, whatever. Now, I know that there's people out there that will. There's people out there. And I think the most harrowing thing that I've seen in the last number of weeks, in particular with what's going on and explaining it to people as well, in particular this week about this hate speech nonsense, is the NPC nature of people that when you say it to them about what's about, they just look at you and it's like they can't compute, and then they talk about something else, sports ball or something ridiculous. And you're looking and going, like, do you understand what's under threat here? A lot of them don't, and a lot of them bought into the last couple of years anyway. So there's no change there. However, I will say this. Those very same people are starting to get really angry about the last couple of years. And I'm like, well, that's interesting now. There is. Seems like you might have woken up to what's going on. And that's good because there's information getting out, particularly online. I've said it here before. You know, I value people that listen to this stream overall. But I really value the fact that it's a cross-generational stream. The fact that I can see in the analytics that there's people that are in the 40, 50, 60s listening into this because, you know, it is difficult for these people to find information about what's going on. And a lot of people that I know are peppered with stuff in the mainstream. They think that's what's going on. And I'm looking going, whoa, we're looking at the ones and zeros over here outside of the matrix. So anyway, we'll jump in here tonight and we'll talk about what's going on. Make sure you like and share this video. I really appreciate the subscriptions as well too to the channel. That really helps. And obviously, as I said, all of the above. There's links in the description down below as well too to support the channel on different social media as well. I'm on Twitter. I must link my Twitter in the bottom of it. Twitter for me this week has been really weird. Twitter has started to jump in numbers insofar as I'm getting quite a few likes with some of the stuff that I've put out this week. I'll show you here tonight. And I think it's kind of interesting to see. I want to give a big shout out as well at the beginning of this stream. Now, if anybody here is in the chat or anything like that, and they obviously follow me on the different social media, if my thing slows down, if the stream slows down, let me know. Hit me up and let me know, because I'm going to use Twitter tonight to just show one video in particular, maybe one or two, and let me know if it's slowing down. So this week has been a real interesting one, because Twitter has really taken off for me in terms of likes that I'm after been getting on the platform, and it's really strange to see that. I don't know whether it's got to do with the polls that I've been doing. So I'm increasingly doing polls and I'm asking questions of people. And that links into what I'm going to talk about here. A big shout out to Gript Media, in particular, Ben Scallon. You know that I really like Ben Scallon. You know that I like the fact that the lad uses brilliant questions and he puts these people on the spot. So this week, to just cut it short and simple, because I'm not sure if I use one of their videos or anything like that, if it'd be copyright struck or something like that, maybe if someone knows them, let me know, or whatever like that, because I would like to show people exactly what's going on in particular, and then obviously giving Gript a bit of a plug, I suppose, because they're doing good work. You have them asking this week in particular, Ben Scallon, asking Leo Varadkar about the comments surrounding this hate speech legislation. Lemonslation, do you hear me? I think I was working for Ray News with that type of speech. Anyway, you have Ben Scallon asking Leo Varadkar about the comments and the overwhelming nature of them being negative towards this hate speech stuff and it being a public commentary. Leo Varadkar just totally disregarded it, just discounted it. No interest. We just do that just to see, just make people feel like they're involved. Holy moly, this guy is admitting an awful lot of stuff out here, lads, and I don't think he's intentionally trying to do this. I think the Botox might be going to the brain. Have you seen his face lately? He looks weird. Dude's out here looking like, I was going to say a certain type of Spock, but I suppose, it might be racist. Pointed out the fact the fella's Indian. You know what I mean? That's absolutely unbelievable. Wasn't that the latest Khan as well too that they were trying to cast about too? They put Benedict Cumberbatch in there and they were like, well, Khan Noonien Singh, that's actually, it's an Indian name, but we didn't really cast anybody that really looked like him ever you were beforehand. Like Star Trek, guys, they've set their phasers to stun. I've set my fucks to none, okay? And I think you should too. Because this stuff is going to get wild from here on out, because when you have one media outlet in Gript asking a question and putting how do we even call him a Taoiseach? Nobody even wanted these guys. Nobody wanted Leo Varadkar. Nobody wanted Micheál Martin. Nobody wanted Eamon Ryan. I'm still yet to meet somebody that has actually voted for the Green Party. Still. You've also then got the issue then that's cropping up now with Sinn Féin too, which is people are saying out wild to them too. They're like, hang on, you're supposed to be in opposition here and you are actually saying nothing. In fact, Michelle O'Neill is heading over to the coronation over there of Charles. That's a bit at odds with people that are Republicans and nationalists, isn't it? Now, I think what's interesting about that is people in the North are starting to mobilize. They're starting to get together and they're like, you have to love people from the North. You really do, because their attitude is completely different to the Republican awful lot of the time. These people, like, it's in the voice. They said it beforehand, and I know this might be stereotypical, but they're like, there's a bit of an aggression in that Northern Irish accent, and I'm like, yeah, well, these people have been through the mill. They have over centuries, and only until recently. And then these people like Bertie and stuff like that got the lads to put down the boomsticks, lads. And that really hasn't worked out too well so far. It's not working out anywhere else across the globe when they do these type of things. Look at America as well too. They keep telling them about putting the boomsticks down, and the Americans are just like, nah, you're all right. We're not going to do that. And if you want to do that, lads, you can come and take them. And then they're like, oh, okay, maybe we might think about that again. But they keep doing it. They keep trying it. So anyway, Gript done a great job this week in asking Varadkar a question, and he just basically said, well, the public opinion and sentiments doesn't actually matter. It doesn't factor into what we do. Now, I'm going to show you a poll that I did this week. It has more votes in that poll than what's in the doll. And that's something I'm going to cover in the video as well too, because I like to give facts and figures as well too when it comes to this. So with an overwhelming majority of people, Ben Scanlon, I think, was quoted as saying 3,400 people, I think it was, 3,400 plus, had commented on the Department of Justice publication, I think it was called. If I'm mistaken, that's open to correction for sure. And it was just disregarded. It was just like, well, we just put that out there and, like, you know, doesn't really factor in. And you're like looking at it going. And then he's talking about Ireland being a democracy during the week. And it's just like, they're talking about democracy and elected representatives. You're looking at it and you're going, okay, guys, the situation is really clear now. We saw what went on in America, and that has changed people forevermore. You see what's going on in France. I mean, how can a man walk into a stadium in France and they all boo him? How is that possible? How is that possible that he's elected as the French leader in Macron? How is that possible? It's not. How is it possible that Eamon Ryan is basically propping up the government, holding it together with basically the strength of a paperclip? And he's the guy. This is a fella that's after going over to China and then is batting on at you, talking to you about carbon emissions and all these Green Party spoofers are all the same. They're a party that are absolutely unbelievable and off the reservation. I'll show you one of the other tweets that I put out this week, and I have to be honest with you, it's starting to really wake people up when people are like, holy moly, you've got this no-name account that's absolutely ratioing media outlets and sitting TDs. The important point about this is this. We have a laugh, we have a joke, but you need to be running in elections against these people. Make it very open and very clear as to what they're doing. I'm seeing videos coming out nearly weekly now of people talking to these people on the street and them not wanting to talk. That's getting to people as well. I have a great video this evening of Anna Brun from Sinn Féin. And I mean, some people, I said it in the, I suppose in the Twitter sphere the other day talking about Sinn Féin. And someone was like, oh my God, can't believe you're blaming Sinn Féin and talking about Sinn Féin like that. Okay, so are you wanting people to just look the other way? This is not a football team. This isn't like being a football team supporter and saying, okay, we can, you know, take the good with the bad. It's like people that are Manchester United supporters at the moment. David De Gea can't play football, and there's people that are like, he's still the best goalie in the world, great shot stopper. Roy Keane's there going, that's his job. Do you know what I mean? But can't see the statistics and the facts behind the situation. So bringing that into account, Sinn Féin are also culpable for what's going on. They should be firing bills into the Dáil to stop all of this sort of nonsense. They should be out there organising protests about these sort of things. They should be organising a protest in support of free speech in this country, but they're not. They walked with NGO Fest. That's what they did. They were called traitors, they were, by people passing them by. People have fully woken up to what's going on, and they know that the fingers are all in the same pies. Listen, there was people out there during the week celebrating Paul Murphy giving a speech about free speech. I mean, this is a guy that's trying to garner votes because PVP are at an all-time low in terms of support. People have fully woken up to the fact that these people want communism, or alleged to want communism, allegedly, speculatively. This guy that's out there that telling you that his child is an it, doesn't know if it's a boy or a girl. You got to be kidding me. This is how these people are playing with people. They put out a little soundbite and people go, oh yeah, that's grand. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I heard from Sinn Féin supporters this week. Oh my God, the people that are asking Owen O'Brien questions like that are radicals. What? What are you talking about? They're asking them a basic question that they can't answer. When you see the video, lads, it's absolutely startling. But what we'll do is we'll talk about what's happening in the chat. Because I've talked for 15 minutes here and I haven't acknowledged the chat, and I feel really bad when I do that. 15 minutes in, if you have something to say, at Ninja Knight would really be appreciated. It gets me through the chat much quicker at the end. Thank you very much. It's getting to the point though where the chat is flying so much. I mean, the last chat I think was something like 1,500 messages, and I was like, whoa, you know, it's difficult to get through there. There, McManus is in here. Fair play to you. Fourth man in. Good to see you here. Irish Red is in here as well. Sean Mack puts up the thumbs up. Kevin Coyle. Quavine's in here. Old school, Derek. I like it. Good to see you here, guys. Great to see you here. Quavine is a fantastic memer there on Twitter. I've only watched a few of Ninja's lives, never really interacted in the chat either, but definitely recognize some of the names. Haha. Frank Barnes says, interesting video, Simon Webb, of history debunked and how the Irish government passed a law seriously detrimental to free speech. The video was uploaded 2 days ago. Maybe interesting to show the video. Unsure when it comes to copyright stuff, but I'll be doing my own for sure anyway and giving my own thoughts on it. But yeah, it's always good to give people a shout out as well that are drawing attention to the same thing. I mean, Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson drew attention to it too. It's really important though to note that it's great when big names draw attention to these things, but they ain't coming to save you. It's up to us. It's up to the Irish people to save ourselves. Nobody's going to swing in here and help out. The Yanks ain't going to come in and say, okay, guys, that's enough. I do find it interesting, the timing, though, don't you? That was it, a week, 2 weeks after Joe arrives here, along with Hunter. How did he get into the country? Both of them, I would say, even, my thoughts on the other fella. But, I mean, these two roll into the country, doing now spiel around the place, and not 2 weeks later, these gang are like, yeah, no, we're going to vote for that. Yeah, totally, that's a good idea. Now, this stuff has been in play since earlier on. It's been in play, I think, since 2021. Helen McEntee is responsible for this hate speech law. That's who was responsible for it. Now, you can also say, and I agree, that Heather Humphreys is also responsible for it. Simon Harris is also responsible for it too. And now the Shannons are going to be partially responsible for it too if it gets in and through there, because that is the last vestige of hope. Personally, I think if enough attention is drawn to it, I think what they'll do is they will amend it heavily to reference certain things. But let me tell you this, and I'm going to say it in the video. The people that these people are looking to protect, because Harris has been clear with saying that, is people that are coming to this country that are undocumented. They've made that very clear that they said whatever status someone's at is going to be protected under that. They're going to try and protect fully Greedos, 100%, absolutely 100%, and people that are engaging in criminal behavior that are foreign. That's the type of people that they're going to protect, along with themselves. And what they are going to do is they are going to produce a plethora of nonsense. Now, to me, again, I'll address it in the video, these people have opened up a can of worms that I don't think that they understand what it's going to do, because, there's a lot of people that are talking about, yeah, that's grand, guys, nice when you're playing right into our hands because you think that you're going to get away with this. Tell you what, the Gardaí are going to be inundated with people reporting anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-straight male rhetoric that's been posted out there. Like, you're going to wake up a dragon, lads, and I'm telling you, it's not a good idea. Cause and effect. Anyway, like I said before, peacefully, respectfully, as always. That's something I'll always endorse. But you're deciding to wake a lot of people up that are going to put an awful lot of paperwork the way the Gardaí, and they're already like, oh no. None of them coming out and saying how ridiculous this is, though, from what I can see. There are only B1014 protected characteristics for everybody that the Irish, the TDs, are doing the damage limitations to save face for all they have betrayed upon us. Jerome Reed is in here, says, good evening, everyone. Fergus Powers in here says, Ninja Knight, great to have you back, brother. Good evening to you and every beautiful, upstanding Irish patriot here. They can stick their hate speech laws up the highest part of their sellout hools. Love to see it. It's great to see that. Grim in here says, hey, Frank Barnes says 2 Irish parents would be higher than 1 Irish parent, which would be higher than none. That would only be a starting point for who is Irish. Yeah, listen, this citizenship nonsense, when people roll into the country and they're like, I'm Irish now. No, you're not. It's the same as me rolling over to Italy and be like, I'm suddenly Italian now. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. And I'm not Nigerian if I go to Nigeria. That's why this Dricus du Plessis stuff from the UFC is quite entertaining to watch now at the moment, because the media are caught in the crosshairs now insofar as they don't know whether to support Usman or Dricus, because they're like, on one hand, Dricus is saying he's African and the family have been there allegedly for a couple of centuries, and Kamaru Usman is actually African. So do we go down the route of saying that Kamaru Usman is the real African, or do we kind of try and play it off? The media, the MMA junkie, by the way, are out there trying to call it. They're calling Dricus du Plessis colonizer energy. That's what they said about him. I was like, whoa. Is that going to be applicable elsewhere? Killian Donovan says, as the fella says, 'tis worse, it's improving. Grim sends 5. It says 2 o'clock Saturday, 13th of May, Custom House. Yeah, we'll be talking about that tonight. But yeah, big shout out obviously as well to the 13th of May at 2 o'clock at the Customs House is where a protest is going to occur in support of free speech and against this hate speech nonsense. Now, what do I also think about this? And I do want to factor this in the time that they have put out this hate speech stuff as well, there's also record amount of articles been fired out talking about interest rates rising in mortgages. So just to let you know, your money is being devalued at the same time that all of this other stuff is going on. It's constantly the way. Over the last couple of weeks, it has been the Transformers. They have been putting out there the Doubtfires that are out there. They've put them out and said, "Oh, look at these people. They might be. Oh, look at they're in the LGFA and all that." And people are looking at that, and rightfully so. But at the same time, mortgage rates were like, they're going to increase there, guys, and nobody kicked up a fuss about that at all. So just once you know that your eye is on one ball, and it's important to be on that ball, there's other balls that are being played too. I mean, it's like that movie Dodgeball where your man puts about 15 balls in. It's helter skelter now at the moment, guys. Sheepdogs in here says good evening, everyone. CST says evening all. Shamax is all part of their plan to protect the rainbow people, the Greedos, and all of these sort of people. Yeah, and I mean, look, all these people have one thing in common, and he's talking about people there from the religion of peace. It's division, destabilization, and I mean, that's exactly why they're doing it and why they're important to so many different people. I mean, you have this sort of stuff that they're talking about now. There's an increase in racism in Ireland. I'm not surprised. I know people that are Eastern European. I know people that are African. I know what they say. I mean, they're upfront and say it to me. And you want to see what they talk about when they talk about each other. I want to see the way some of my African friends talk about some people that are Indian that are out there. It is unbelievable. I'm like, whoa, you guys are supposed to be the perpetual victims. And they all laugh about it. They're like, it's great. We get a free ride around this place where everything that's going on. And they do even laugh even harder because they're like, we're not even from America. They're like, we have to come straight from the likes of Nigeria and other places like Zimbabwe and that. And they're like, we're getting away with murder here. It's great. That's what they say, allegedly, respectively. So anyway, but this is the stuff that's going on. They're going to push all of these people in. And I mean, didn't you have an article out there not too long ago on one of these NGO heads that was there going, we think that people being pushed into one area in this City West hotel isn't a good idea on all the different cultures. That's what we've been saying for the last 10 odd years. Now, I've been on YouTube for the last 2 or 3, and I've been saying it since then. And you people have been vehemently opposed. That left-hand side have gone very quiet recently, by the way, too. Now, I don't know whether that's got something to do with the jabronis or whether it's got to do with something else. I don't know whether they're starting to realise what's going on. And like I said on Twitter beforehand, it's not me that these people are going to bully. It's going to be them. It's the left that are going to get bullied. Do you think that they're going to bully someone that's well able to handle themselves? Or are they going to bully someone that's a skinny little whippet with a Boy Large Mansions t-shirt on with multicoloured hair and something that's walking around like a little hippopotamus? Do you think that that's going to be someone that they're going to look at? Absolutely 100%. They ain't going to be taking care of anybody that's well able and well bodied. This is the thing. This is why they don't want you to be fit either. This is why they're pushing people away from associations and sports and stuff like that. I mean, I've talked to more people now in the last year that are like, I don't bother with sports anymore, particularly sports ball, because they're like, it's way too political. I haven't gone to a GAA match in the last number of years, and I won't, because I'm like, I'm not giving them money. I'm certainly not giving the GAA money for what they took part in, and they know at this stage of the game. Not only that now, but they're also pushing out this diversity nonsense, and you're like, nah, not interested in that either. And you're not protecting the women either. Tell you what, guys, no, that's a no for me. Frank Burnett says, these aliens have got a critical mass. It would be impossible to reverse the damage to Irish society. The thing is, and the way I look at it is, because you got to look at some vestiges of hope, I suppose, a vestige of hope. And you look at Florida, and you look at some of the stuff that they're dialing back, and they're, I would say, aggressively pursuing. You got to look at that and say to yourself, that's the way to go. That's the type of message you need to go with. And I think a lot of people out here as well, a lot of people feel uncomfortable with certain things and saying certain things. But I think with Florida, for example, going after Greedos, big move. That's big energy. And that's energy that needs to be also followed up and taken on board here. It's like, okay, if we catch you being a Greedo, we want to revert back to certain penalties, lads. That's what we want to do. And to me, that would make sense. I would fully endorse and support that. Let's keep going through the chat now. We will, before we jump into the stories. Someone talking about the NCT here now in the chat. Frank Barron. Yeah, did you see Derek Bloig's video there on that one? That's another brilliant video that he did. And he's talking about insurance and tax and all like that. These people with the blue and yellow flags waving from the vehicles, they don't need any of that sort of stuff here. 50 grand cars now, nonetheless. Going back to the blue and yellow flag waving country on holidays and that. You can watch live cams of that country. There ain't nothing going on over there. But no. Very serious issues happening there, of course, as you know. Sheepdog says Ninja Nap, I think. Armchair Limerick National says Ninja should charge €1 entry fee. We need to support our guys. Listen, I'm happy with anybody that turns up here. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Van Malone says, hi guys. Good to see you in here. I keep scrolling through the chat there now and see. CST says mentioned Ninja yesterday in Gript. They were chatting with Radgar about the freedom of speech legislation and said he sounded like Ninja Law. Ninja is good at ripping him off. Give him a mention too. Much appreciated. Armchair Limerick Nationalist with some very good points there to Sean Mack. Really appreciate that, Dales. I really appreciate that, of course. Derek Mann says I'm heading to Dublin tomorrow to avoid the coronation, only to find out news is shown it live. Absolute disaster. Other one only be 1014 says the seeds to grow replace acceptance mindset has unfortunately festered in the heads of many of our own, despite the evidence of our own eyes and ears. I agree with that point to a certain extent. Men are realizing it far quicker than women. Now, leftist women will never admit to it. They will never admit to the problem, especially when it's right in front of them. But fellas, even lefty guys, are starting to turn around and talk to me and be like, we have a problem here. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You have a very serious problem. But it's all fixable. It's all fixable when you have a nationalist patriot in the place. You can run these people out real quick. Real quick. Stop benefits. That's one thing that I would do, especially the people that are of foreign origin. Stop the benefits straight away. Then if the citizenships have been given out to people in the last number of years, you painstakingly go through each and every one of them. I mean, you have multiple departments that can do that. And you remove bogus people. Asylum seekers as well too, direct provision stuff, down straight out of the country. Good luck. Out. And all escorted out as well too. And by, our nice Garda Síochána. That's what we can do. So what we'll do is we'll keep going through the chat, and it says, Jerome Reedy, Ninja Night, you'd be late for your own funeral. Probably. I probably would be. Great to see people that are slagging in the chat. I'm catching up there now around to about the 8:15 mark when I was just getting going. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll jump into Twitter and I'll see if this video will work now for me. I have to slow down there now a little bit, so hang on. Give me a moment there, guys, now, and let me jump into this. I'll have to load this bookmark. I'm keeping an eye on it as well too to see if this actually goes a bit patchy. I know the last time I jumped onto Twitter, it went all sorts of wonky. It did. So we'll get into the hate speech stuff now in a moment. But I just wanted to show you this video. I'm going to do a video on it anyway as well because it's Eileen Flynn again. The Ouch Meagle look-alike. I'll jump into this as well. I'll bookmark a couple of things. Bookmark's a great feature. It is on Twitter. But I'll tell you what. I prefer Gab. We'll be on Gab as well too tonight, but I just thought, just to save time, I'd come across here to Twitter and show this. Let's have a look now. This is a banger of a meme, by the way. You're more than welcome to take this stuff as well too and send it around to as many people as you know. That's very appreciated when people send this sort of stuff around. So let's have a look now. Let's see if this shared. Should be shared now. Can you see that on the screen, guys? Just let me know in the comments and let me know if you can see that. So that's being shared. Yeah, we should be good. I can see that now myself. Okay, so Irish teacher. This is a woman that I've actually reported on beforehand. This person is at the Irish Examiner. By the way, did you know Peter with the surname Tatchell is writing for a load of different UK media outlets? I think he's writing for The Guardian, allegedly, speculatively, but he's definitely had to be writing for the Daily Mail. And have a look at who he's linked to. And these people are all supporting this sort of hate speech stuff. Again, like I said, it's to protect certain people. Oh my God, you said something mean to me. What about the lads across there now and the likes of Sligo? What about them? Oh, don't talk about them. Actually, as a matter of fact, if you do talk about them, that's hate speech to be pointing out the fact that had someone that was a perpetrator from the religion of peace there. You can't say that either. It's a woke nonsense. Irish teacher, I don't like cars. We should fine unnecessary driving. This is where these people used to go, okay? And we need to take a very serious look at reopening these things. That's one of the things I do if I was running the show. I'd be like, you know what, lads, we're reopening these things. And I tell you what, people are being put into here. And, people used to say to me, yeah, you used to see the vans coming around, the lads at the white coats would be hopping out and they grab El Mary, El Mad Mary from down the road and they stick her in the van and then that'd be that then, And then she was well looked after now. There was nothing untoward going on there. But she wasn't standing up as a TD or a senator or various other things at a position of prominence. She certainly didn't have a social media to be on 24/7 talking absolute nonsense, And we really do need to start thinking about reopening these things because, to be quite honest with you, I've had enough of nonsensical stuff being put out. To think that this is a mainstream media article that's been posted out there, that multiple people, this is the thing. I painstakingly, I will say, look at some of the things that I put out in videos and I listen back to them, and I have binned videos before where I'm like, I don't like how I said that. It could be one sentence and it could have been a 10 or 15-minute video, and I've been it, and I'm like, that doesn't sound good, or I don't like that, or it sounds maybe a bit too ridiculous, and maybe I'm pitching this at a level that's not to be pitched at. These people are publishing this. Like, this goes through multiple people, and not one person with a shred of common sense went, listen, I think we need to have a look into this here. We need to talk about this woman. This isn't right. Are you mad? Are you okay? No. I don't like cars. We should fine unnecessary driving. Now, another video that I'll probably do will be talking about one of the videos, not the videos, but certainly, I don't think there was a video in it. One of the articles that came out from the Dublin Inquiry is talking about on post. So, like I do nowadays, when I see articles like that, as talking about the depots and people having to collect things, I said, I'm going to look into the article now. And sure enough, about 3/4 of the way down, they actually talk about 15-minute cities. I was like, oh my God. Now, this has also been pushed out as well too, very sneakily, by Dublin City Council. And this thing's out there jumping now as well. This is really annoying. Twitter's super annoying. Anyway, after taking my attention away from that, you can see Gavin Pepper there as well too. That's another one that I'm after. Bookmarking, that's a good one. They have Mary Lou on camera here. Now, I'm not going to have you listen to the video or anything like that, because the guy talks about, what shall we say, creamed corn. You know what I'm talking about? So that type of word isn't liked on this platform. So, I'm playing again. That's all I'm saying. So that's why I won't show the video. But that's another one as well too, where guys are walking behind Mary Lou. She's just ignoring where people should be. So another cracker of a one as well, because I'm looking forward to all of this, because this is something that's been now regularly recommended. Seen a good post as well by Saints and Scholars. Saints and Scholars is usually in the chat, and the post is very much so linked into what I'm going to be talking about in the video, where he was talking about putting this stuff to the test insofar as, okay, if they want to try and turn it on the Irish people, well, instances like this here are things that you'd be reporting. Do you know what I mean? Now, allegedly, spectively, and I'm not endorsing anybody spamming or anything like that and doing things that are not supposed to be done. What I'm saying is, there are people now that are going to view this and go, okay, game's on now, you're changing the rules. Well, the rules have just changed, and we're happy to play by the rules now. And see, this is what the left are not thinking that you're going to do. They don't think that you're going to move with it. They hope that people are going to be stuck in a certain way and then just totally try to resist, instead of going, Grant, okay, you want to play by the new rules? How do you like the new rules? And they go, uh-oh, and that's when they're going to have a problem. So this will be part of the new rules, I would say. I want more black people to play for Clare. That's my aim. Ikem Uguweru. Now, Ikem Uguweru is probably from Nigeria. It's certainly not an Irish name. But does this not class as racism? Is this not anti-whiteism? What's the story with this? This is the replacement theory in full swing. I thought that was a conspiracy theory, guys. Thought that was a conspiracy theory. Thought that was just, listen, the under 15s Irish boys team been over 50% black. Don't be worrying about that. Don't be worrying about the fact that over 50% of that team are African. Don't be worrying about that. Sinn Féin councillors out there actually telling you not to worry about that. Brits out, lads. Everybody else in. This would be classed as hate speech, I'm sure. No? Would it be? Because that's the sort of stuff that people in the comments are like, I'd report that. And you're looking and you're like, well, this is going to take a very interesting turn real quick. So let's have a look here now. Far-right activists planning anti-refugee protests in Portrush. Told you are not welcome. Loads of comments down there below as well that are like, see us there, lads. Looking forward to it. Thanks. Didn't know this was on. I'll be there. Toby was in there as well. I was like, that's brilliant. Clive Dempsey was the woman that put up the video. So they was talking about. I'm gonna have a look at lads. The important thing to know is something like this in governments, and when I say in government, in the Senate, that can string a sentence together, and it's also a representative of the community, and it's also people. Now, my view of an awful lot of this stuff is it is to put people back to where they were. I see what's going on in America, and I see the tensions that have begun and are continuing to go on, and people are looking at the latest incident that happened in New York, and they're putting Scott Adams pictures up everywhere. They're like, the dude had it coming, he was up to no good, and he's been arrested multiple times. Anyway, I'm getting away from the point. This division stuff is rampant now in America, and it is ramping up real quick, and it's going even faster than I think I ever anticipated beforehand. And a similar circumstance is starting to begin here now in this country. And, part of me starts to look at it and say, well, is this done completely on purpose to turn people against these people and these different communities? I'd say potentially, because then the eye isn't too much on the government, but the government then are the ones that actually sponsor and pull forward these people. Now, as you know, the government are very happy to discard people through the media when it doesn't suit them anymore. You've seen this Barbie Kardashian stuff as well too, that Grift asked the question on, and that caused an awful fervour as well too amongst the government, and they dropped that real quick then. Also, as well, when you look at some of the curriculum stuff that they wanted to introduce, and they still probably do want to introduce, they're just going to try and do it a more sneaky way for sure. But that had to be dropped because people brought too much attention to it. So you have to remember that these people are happy to drop these people and these, I would say, tokenized places that these people take up. This person was put into this position nominated by Micheál Martin. Listen till I tell you this. A lot of people have feared what the rainbow community, what the likes of the religion and the peace community would say, what the traveling community would say when people point out, this is one of your own and look what they're doing. A lot of people have been in that mindset for the last decade or so. Oh, don't say anything about them. Listen, these people are less than 4% in this country. Why are you bowing down and taking the words of a clown like this? And various other clowns as well too. You have people that live immoral lifestyles, and you have people that live lifestyles as well. And listen, as I said to you before, my attitude is this, and it always has been this. Once you're a legal consenting adult, whatever you do behind closed doors is your own business. But I don't want to see it in the street. I don't want to see it in my TV series, and I don't want to see it in movies, and I don't want to see it just in general. Okay? That's how I feel. Nothing against you or anything like that at all, but keep it where it's kept. You're starting now to see people look at this and go, hang on here for a second. Now, this person is turning around saying things like this when this is a community that, by and large, have a very negative reputation. Why do they have a very negative reputation? They have a very negative reputation because, for obvious reasons, there are an awful lot of good people within the community, for sure. And as you know, I'm a big supporter of Tyson Fury. So when you try and say that I have something against that community, that is completely warped and untrue. But they have a bad reputation. So when this person is going, taxi man doesn't want to go into a halting site, I'm not surprised. I have heard stories, first-hand stories from guys that have driven into certain places. I know what they've dealt with. They've told me what they've dealt with. So when you try to allude to somebody, and here's the thing, by the way, none of these people provide receipts when it comes to these things. From what I understand from this video, I don't know if there's a follow-up, but from what I understand, I don't know if this person made a complaint about that taxi man. He's up here in the channel saying this, though. That doesn't make that to be a true story. Jack Chambers said during the week. Now, I find the timing again very interesting. I don't think there's anything that's a coincidence nowadays. But Jack Chambers there was out during the week. Not so much him, but a now public relations piece was put out. Jack Chambers is after receiving a threat upon his very existence. So he has a 24-hour guard escort now. Scroll through the article. How much does that cost? Oh, that's costing 2.5 million. There is, because there's multiple people out there that are getting 24-hour protection. I wonder why. Well, I would say the sniffles is one issue, but also the fact that you've decided now to try and attempt to curb people's speech and their thoughts. If you haven't seen the movie Equilibrium, I suggest that you have a look at that movie Equilibrium. Stars Christian Bale and Taye Diggs. Sean Bean's also in the movie. Have a look at that. There's a serious parallel to what goes on in that movie as to what's happening right now. You can't get any information from anywhere else. Now people like to use Orwell, but this Equilibrium movie, I'm telling you, you have to take this stuff that's provided by a company that has a history of criminal activity. It numbs your feelings, and you go and do what we tell you. That's really, really applicable to what's going on now. So anyway, let's have a look at what Andy Serkis is saying here now in this. Here's the thing about circuses, lads. You become part of the circus when you entertain clowns. And we are entertaining way too many clowns in this country. And what I'm talking about there, before anyone gets their knickers in a twist, I'm talking about democratically voting these people out and democratically showing that these people do not have the support that they purport to have. Look at Leo Varadkar. Was a 5th count. Micheál Martin, 6th count. Simon Harris, 15th count. This woman here, I'm talking about Gollum. This woman here, nominated, failed to get where she is through voting. And even think about it, that guy's failed to get there, nominated, had to be placed there by Micheál Martin. And look, the type of nonsense that's coming out here.
Last night, I got a taxi home from town, and the taxi driver refused to take me.
Now, I know this is annoying for some people as well too. What I'll do is I'll make this bigger as well, because I know it is a small screen. I watch, now I'm not saying I'm a body language which this woman has already affected my speech, lads. I get stupider when I listen to this woman. I really do. There's a couple of IQ points that get shaved off to do. Here's my thing. Anybody that has a sub 50 IQ shouldn't be running anything when it comes to the government. They shouldn't be in the Senate. They shouldn't be in the Dáil. This is way out of bounds. Anyway, allegedly, spectively, we would say that. But anyway, if you have a sub 50 IQ, you shouldn't be running anything. So anyway, I watch body language experts, and they say, now, she's obviously standing here with her face in front. When someone looks up to the left, it's usually a lie. When someone looks up to the right, it's usually that they're telling the truth. Obviously, listen to what she's saying, but have a look at the body language here. To me, it's like someone allegedly, spectively making this up as they go along.
Last night, I got a taxi home from town, and the taxi driver refused to take me into my house in Hottenside. So if I want to be president of Ireland, or being a top sergeant, or whatever you may want to go on to be, no matter what you are, or no matter who you are, to a lot of people, I'm still just a member of the travel community. I'm still just a pikey, an acker, somebody who came from absolutely nothing. And last night I felt that very, very right to the gut of my stomach, thinking, oh my God, you're never going to be good enough in society, no matter what you do. So I tried to speak to the driver, saying to him, look, I'm a public representative. I'm not going to lose my job because of this fear, you know. So he refused, and I said, I'm not taking this. So I said to him, I won't be paying you. I said, I'm not going to pay you if you won't take me to my destination. And to make a long story short, he said, I'm going to ring the guards. So I said, no, actually, I'm going to ring them, because you're the one that's committing the crime, not me. Called the guards, and the operator said, this is a waste of guards' time. And I said, okay, I understand that, but this is a crime that's going on. He's not bringing me into where I need to be brought. And I wasn't going to pay him the money. So I explained to the operator I was a public representative, wasn't going to let any harm come to the taxi driver. And then the taxi driver said, I'll take you in, he said, if the operator says on the phone, right? So I had to go through all of that. Now, I welcome the hate crime legislation that will be brought before this House in the coming weeks. We have some small amendments to make to that bill. It will be accepted. And also welcome the €1 million from the National Racism Action Against Racism plan to tackle racism in this country. We've a long way to go, leader, before we tackle racism in this country.
Now, if you're looking at this from outside of this country, this is obviously a white woman, and what has happened in this country due to the clown world that we live in and we occupy right now, the government that is, decided to class traveling people as a race of their own for exactly this reason, because this is as nonsensical as it gets. This woman is a white woman, and she wants to class someone else being racist towards her. Now, I would say you could probably pick out the type of person she's trying to allege this taxi man to have been, because I'm sure if it was someone that has arrived from a certain continent that isn't in the EU, but a lot of people seem to be arriving here from that continent. Really weird, that one. Anyway, it seems like Live Aid was a bad idea, lad. Seems like that sending that money over there was a bad idea. They've all just decided to come over here. So anyway, you've got this woman here that's out talking about, I was discriminated against. The guy probably has had a bad experience beforehand, if this even happened at all. Now, it sounds very unlikely to me that the Gardaí would refuse to come out and deal with this, because, as you quite obviously know, the Gardaí are more than happy to go out and deal with trivial things, because when it comes to real instances of real issues happening, listen, the Domino's pizza would be to your front door quicker than any of these people. I've heard stories as well too in the last number of months where people are waiting on the Gardaí. And just to think about this, a loved one is lying in state, we shall just say, in a morgue, and they are waiting a very long time for Gardaí to come across and for them to view and to identify. I've had multiple people reach out and have said that to me. So when it comes to lackadaisical little things like that, they're not pushed and not prodded into going to certain things. But this thing, given the fact that it's a senator, there's a couple of holes in this story, is what I would say. Joe Public, when these people aren't bothered to come out, just Joe Public. This person is telling them that she's a public representative. I'm sure she told them exactly who she was. And I'm sure that that would have elicited some sort of response, wouldn't you? I mean, I can't imagine any member of the Shannons ringing up and saying, I'm a member of the Shannons, I'm such and such, and someone that's an operator, I'm sure, has multiple devices in front of them and looks up and goes, oh, that is actually that person. Hang on, actually, we'll send someone now. Because this makes the Gardaí look bad, obviously, because they wouldn't take this call. They refused, according to her. That's her words. And now you're saying, okay, I want to have hate speech against this, well, not against, but certainly want to use this against this taxi driver. This is absolutely absurd. This is a woman that can barely string a sentence together. She didn't remember where she was. I was in town. What? How did you take a couple of attempts to think about where you were? That doesn't seem like a memory that is very trustworthy to me. And it beggars belief. It doesn't really beggar belief because you know the type of way that these people operate. That this person is actually in the Shannon. Now, I can see some of the comments flying in the chat talking about the way she's dressed, and I do agree with you. I do think that if you're going into this place of what used to be a respectable building, I think you should be dressed accordingly. However, you know, this person obviously not interested so much in that. But again, you have people running the asylum now at this stage of the game that are way out of bounds, and to me, you've got a woman there now that exemplifies the problem that we have in Irish society and exemplifies the type of people that are running this country. I remember when I was growing up, and I used to look at people that are politicians, and I used to say to myself, God, you know, there must be some really smart people in there. And a lot of them did have very good backgrounds in terms of education and some of the jobs that they inhabited beforehand. And you'd say, right, they obviously were good at what they done. I mean, that's why Varadkar, for example, is a doctor. You've got the likes of Micheál Martin. Was he a teacher? I think there's multiple accountants and people in there. Never put any of these people into positions that would be more applicable for them, of course. But then you start to see the type of bogus people that are being floated into places. You've got Simon Harris there, Minister for Justice, couldn't go through third level college, but then is overseeing laws in this country. Like, again, like I said, if you want the circus rolling into town and you entertain clowns, you're going to get a clown show, like, and you're going to be part of it. And that's what we've got right here, right now, because people are willing to get involved. So anyway, moving on, because we will dip in and out about this hate speech stuff because obviously it's very important. But like I said, I will be doing a video on it. But a lot of people now are fired up when it comes to these things, and rightfully so. These people are trying to affect the way you speak, the way you communicate. And this to me is how you know. A lot of people will look at this, and there's some people out there that will be like, oh my God, this is such a depressing time and times are bad. And we need to be like, oh my God, this is the last breaths of a regime that are very panicked and in trouble. You got to realize how desperate they are to do something like this. The Canadians are in the same boat. I mean, I'm looking and seeing what's going on with Trudeau, and I'm like, that's interesting to see they're Ireland to follow suit. I mean, if the UK tried something very similar tomorrow, I don't know what the response would be. Now, I know that the UK already have things in place, but that comes after the last years of sniffles when people are still on, in fairness to the UK and in fairness to the British people, they're still on about sniffles. And it's something that I will say in the video, but I read a quote recently that came from Japan, and it talked about we like to think that we vanquish evil, like to think that it goes away and it's a permanent fixture, but it doesn't. It's not permanently vanquished. It only waits and bides its time and returns eventually. That's why entertainment, in particular, from the likes of the 80s and 90s, were always great, and particularly the sequels at those times. It just returns, and you have to be prepared to deal with it. And then you have to be prepared to finally deal with it. The likes of the sniffle stuff hasn't been dealt with, and it has led to repercussions like these, which are this hate speech stuff. another attack on your freedoms, because these people are keenly aware that the internet and the fact that people are out to share memes and take away, I mean, the money that was spent on some of the stuff that these people have put out over the last few years to just be ended within 2 years. Now, I know, and I agree with you when people say, well, 2 years was far too long for this stuff to be going on. Varadkar was quoted as talking about this could be a several year thing. It was ended within 2 because people were starting to get wider and wider to these things. And again, like that with the memes, how come you've taken 3 of these things? They're telling you need 4 and 5. You already have the slots on your card there, and they're telling you, oh no, it's totally over now. It's all over and done with, and you've taken 3 things. And they're like, who's liable for this? Well, you are, not the manufacturer. And doctors now are like, look, that had nothing to do with us, guys. We were to save too. All I'm saying is keep an eye on a program called Dopesick. Have a look at that TV show. That'll explain exactly what went on over the last 2 years. Same place. So anyway, jumping into this here, Dread on post. Sorry we missed you, Slips. There may be no need to trek to the depot anymore. So this is the article I'm talking about. It talks about 15-minute city within this. So 15-minute cities are a way of controlling the population and certainly controlling your movements and tracking your movements. These are things that are starting to gain traction in the UK. It has been talked about as well too in America. A lot of people as well have obviously said that this is something that they want to be pushing, particularly from the Democrats. But Trump made some odd comments as well too recently, talking about self-sustaining areas, and I'm like, that's just another word for these cities. So listen, you're not part of the team. You're not part of the club, as Jared Salente would say, and that's the difference. Now, these people obviously aren't beholden to laws the same way as you and I are, and that's an interesting thing, I would say, to say the very least. I mean, when you think about what's gone on the last couple of years, who's culpable for the last couple of years? Doctors, nurses, Stephen Donnelly, Paul Reid, Tony Holohan, NEFIT as a whole, the media, government. That's a lot of people involved there, and they all don't want to go down. They all don't want to be sitting down in Mountjoy. They don't want to be sitting down in various prisons across the country. That's not what they want to be doing. And not only that, this is a worldwide pact, by the way. Never before in the history of the world has the entire world got together and said, yeah, this is how we're going to deal with this. We're going to deal with it in one way. A couple of outliers for sure, but the majority of the world all followed the same thing and changed it up. Same script. In places they had the likes of color coding. Other places they had numbers. And this is a very similar thing. When you see the likes of our government welcoming and filling the doll for Joe Biden coming here, that should send warning signals to your brain really quickly as to, and these people all in the same group. Again, like I said before, the forum is where they go as well too, and the forum is dictating exactly what's going on in terms of what you will see for the next 7 years. 2030, that's the year that they want to get to. Families face triple threat of mortgage hikes by the end of July. Borrowers are facing 3 more interest rate hikes as the European Central Bank is expected to keep the pressure on. So this is also what's going on in the meantime. So your money's being devalued. They're taking more money off you through taxes, and they are now increasing mortgage rates. So it's going to be even more unsustainable. If your name is Pavlov and you've arrived from blue and yellow flag waving country, allegedly, but you seem to have a pigment of someone that comes from the great country and continent of country of Nigeria and the continent of Africa, well then, it's not a problem. You don't be worrying about paying bills or anything like that there. It's all good. Don't be worrying about that at all. And we'll pick up the tab there, The taxpayer's paying up the tab there for that one. And again, when it comes to looking after them, no looking after for the Irish people, but loads of looking after for people of the world. Really weird, that one. So your money is being taken away from you in multiple different ways. You're getting less. They're actually talking about the supermarkets now overcharging, which I think is very interesting to see. But there you go. That's also what's happening now whilst all this clown show is going on. Calls for government to end free workplace parking. The head of Climate Change Advisory Council has called on the government to implement a levy on workers who get free parking in urban areas. So these people have openly admitted in the last couple of weeks that what they're really interested in are just taxes. They just want to take even more money off you. Now, obviously, I'm someone that's interested in money because money affects us all, and money, some people would say, well, money doesn't bring you happiness. No, it doesn't, but it certainly makes life a little bit more comfortable, doesn't it? And these people, with this nonsensical stuff, and this typifies it, by the way, pay more taxes to fix the weather. Absolute hogswash. Like, absolute unbelievable stuff that's been put out there. There's actually a chaired committee coming up soon. Someone messaged me, they did, and said that there was one coming up as well too about parking in the Phoenix Park. You'd want to be at that committee quick, because here's the thing: when you are at these public assemblies, these are hoping to go to these public assemblies and think that they're going to just have the gavel in the hand and go, well, we've got 15 people here, and through everyone that's here, and a lot of these people that are knitting their own woolen hats and sitting there as well too, multicolored woolen hats sitting there, going, oh yes, I think the climate is a grave concern. I'm working as an accountant, and in my spare time I like to go around and like to tend to the vergers in my own estate. Dublin City Council used to do that, but dipshits like you decided to take that job away from them because you decided to do it for free. You absolute dipstick. So these people, they're hoping to get them there at these types of meetings so that they can come to an agreement and I would say, consensus at these things and go, okay, yeah, looks like everyone's in favour of parking charges in Phoenix Park. You should be rocking on down to that and saying, no way. And that's how you have an effect when you go to these public meetings and public assemblies. Now, Sinn Féin of late, in the last year or two, was it? They decided to refuse people entry into these public assemblies, particularly people that were known. Now, Philip Dwyer and the Irish Inquiry obviously being the top two, that they were like, oh, they're going to ask us hard questions and we can't have that. We can't be made look silly, and we certainly can't not be on video being made to look silly. So, yeah, don't have them in here at all. So that's why approaching them in a public place and respectfully and peacefully as always and asking questions is always a very positive thing to do. But this is nonsense here because this is another scam. And as you know, on Twitter there the other day, there was another hashtag that went out and was talking about this being a hoax. This is awesome to see. This is the difference in Twitter now in the last 6 months. Twitter is after taking off with people just having enough. And they're like, nah, I'm not having this anymore. I'm not putting up with that. There's a significant payout to asylum seekers following ruling. Currently, 538 people who arrived here seeking international protection are without state accommodation, and many have been left homeless. Bounce them on the first flight out of this country. I've always supported law and order, and I always will. But when you look at the situations that have happened over the last 3 years, and you see that not one unit of the Gardaí nor the Defence Forces are interested in somewhat investigating what went on, is mind-boggling. This is another instance of that as well. You have people in uniform that are happily standing outside places and are preventing Irish people from protesting outside these places. It is unreal stuff. It's just, you'd think you would learn from history as well too, from the likes of the RIC, the Black and Tans. You think people would learn from that? No, certainly not. But it's always the same sort of stuff. But to me, first thing you should be done here is that these people are sent packing. Good luck to you. Out you go. First batch of 200 modular homes for the blue and yellow flag waving country spoofers to be ready next month. A target of delivering 700 units has been missed by government. Isn't it amazing that they could do this within a year? Isn't it? And yet then the problem with homelessness, they can't seem to get a hold of. They're like, oh, it's elusive, it is. We don't know what to do here. Homes for people, no. You want to buy a home? No, you're going to be paying upwards of 400,000. Homes for people that are spoofing and scamming the way into the country. Sure, look, we'll get that done within a year. And that's all for them. Yeah, freebies there, of course. Yeah, 100%. No chance. Now, I have a friend of mine from Eastern Europe, and his way of dealing with it was this. He was just like, in my country, he says, my people, he says, they would get into the houses. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, no. He's like, my people would inhabit the houses. He says, they wouldn't be waiting for keys. And I was like, okay, now allegedly, spectively. So, man who sold dodgy boxes, we'll get onto this story. I'm flying through a couple of days, obviously, because I want to get to some of the other stuff. Man who sold dodgy boxes to 150 customers sentenced to 240 hours of community service. The judge described this as a sneaky type of offence, hard to detect, could have made a living off it, is what the judge said. Said that he wanted to send this guy to jail. Who was the judge in this case? Oh, it was Martin Nolan. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because all you got to do is you got to Google Martin Nolan's name and you got to see some of the people that he's given suspended sentences to. Now, to me, listen, a lot of people say, well, if they were in front of the gavel or whatever like that, they do this, that, and the other. But you would have to bring attention to the fact, here if you were sentencing me here, this would look ridiculous because you're going to be putting me in for dodgy boxes. Sky and Virgin are pricing people out of the market with these things. people would have no problem. I'm just saying this now as a whole when it comes to this sort of stuff. People would have no problem, and this wouldn't exist, is what I'm saying. This wouldn't exist if Sky and Virgin weren't charging people extortionate amounts of money to view sports and teams that people have followed for years. But they are. And this is why people resort to doing things like this. And particularly people that don't have money. They're looking at this and they're going, I can't afford a subscription there over the year. And this is the sort of stuff that they go towards. And like, it is actually a very sad state of affairs when you're at this sort of stuff. And I mean, look at this here. Lucky you didn't go to jail. But, you know, people that are coming into this country, a lot of them without documents. A lot of them able to freely travel back and forward and to other countries on holidays and still get payouts, you know, free gas for them. This guy called, yeah, you know, you're at the being spared job, but I tell you what, you're going to 240 hours of community service. Like, what an absolute inverse country we live in. What an absolutely ridiculous system that this justice system is. And a full credit, by the way, I want to give a shout out, obviously, to the Bork family, because fairness to them, they're actually calling this stuff out and they're actually pursuing it. And it's making the state, it's making the government, it's making the judicial system look silly. And that's the point. People are looking at it and they're like, oh my God, you know, the Bork's not that. But this is the thing with this HB stuff as well, too. Like, if anybody was dealing with that sort of stuff, they should be like a dog with a bone in it and be after it 100%. Because no way should you be taking any of this sort of stuff lying down. And particularly when you can connect these people to different things. Like, just on another thing, because I'm talking about the judicial system here, I looked at it the other day. I think Kevin O'Higgins was one of the first people, if not the first person, to set up on Garda Síochána. Was one of the, and I mean, what's interesting when you go and try and look through bills through history, by the way, that says, like, you know, the way now a bill like gets sponsored by a certain person or a certain group of people. Well, at the time it would be like sponsored by the Minister for Justice, and I was just like, I'm interested to see that because I was talking about boomsticks. It was, and I was like, I wonder who got involved with that, and it was this guy Kevin O'Higgins, and I was looking at it and I was like, that's interesting. I was like, I wonder what happened to him, and I was like, oh, all right, that's what happened to him. And then some other stuff happened as well too. It's all it's all information that's available. But the thing that caught my interest mostly, obviously, when it came to the boomstick stuff as well too, because I'm just looking at it and be like, I wonder how long this stuff is in play, and I'm like, it's definitely been in play at least 100 years. That movie and that game, Assassin's Creed, I'm just like, every time I play it, I'm like, this is too trippy, man, because this seems like real life. Anyway, when you look at that and you see that guy in a prominent position that he had, well, a granddaughter of his, Isolt O'Malley, is a Supreme Court judge. What's the chances of that? Nominated as well too by Michael D. Higgins. What are the chances of that? What a small world. What a small world for that to happen. And Isolt O'Malley as well too, instrumental for a couple of things. And then a lot of people during the week, and that's what I'm saying to you. All I'm saying to you is this. A lot of people during the week were like, well, this won't stand up in front of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court here in this country are not any use. If they were any use, they would have been used over the course of the sniffles. They would have voided everything pretty much immediately. They would have said how ridiculous it was, how against the Constitution and human rights and civil liberties and freedoms it was. Because let's not forget, the borders never closed during those 2 years. They never closed. Record numbers of people coming in. They never closed. But your civil rights and liberties, you know, people talk about, I was able to go outside my 5K and I was really happy when that was lifted. What sort of stupid are you? Like, you're on a different plane of stupid. Like, I know George Carlin talked about people and said, like, think about a stupid person, realize that a lot of people are even stupid and that. I was like, I don't think that's true. But talking to people recently, I'm like, holy moly, there's a lot of people running around that are just NPCs. They're just looking and they're just plodding along. You know, it's. But anyway, I thought I'd bring attention to that one because I said to myself, well, people have obviously got Martin Nolan on the mind, and this to me was just shocking. I mean, reading this article was just sad. You know, just a sad state of affairs that this sort of stuff was taken to the level it was. Leaving cert students who suffer medical emergencies during exams to be allowed resit. Move follows criticism from student who was not offered opportunity to resit exam after epileptic seizure. Now, you know, and I know why they're suggesting that this should happen. It's really weird that they decided to draw attention to this now in the last year, isn't it? Never beforehand, was it? All right, mum called Gardaí a shower of pigs and rats. Mother too called Gardaí a shower of pigs and rats after they stopped her for the purpose of a search, a court has heard. Religious evangelism soaks into every part of the Irish school curriculum. When it comes to education, Ireland remains a theocracy masquerading as a republic. Would this be classed as hate speech then? Would this be anti-Christian? Would that be what this would be? Would this be anti-religion? You see, this is the net that you open yourself up to when you decide to open this sort of Pandora's box. And what I'm telling you is, again, cause and effect. People are going to view it and going to say, well, if you've changed the rules, we're going to play by those rules, no problem. You want to play with the rules off? It's like, what was it, FIFA Street? Remember that game? FIFA Street used to be like FIFA, but no rules. You want to do that? Okay, because people are happy to do that now. This whole idea, and you see, this is the thing. The other side expects you to be honourable, and they expect you to be, I suppose, betrothed to the fact that you're honourable. And honour is still something that you should take into account and something that you should have. But these people have no honour, and these people are interested in fighting dirty. So a lot of people look at it and they go, well, how many times are you going to be kicked in certain ways and in certain positions and decide, nah, I'll tell you what, now I'm over being kicked. And I tell you what I'm going to do now. I am going to be checking those kicks. That's what I'm going to be doing, to take a kickboxing stance on that one, I suppose. But you look at these sort of things, and this is the sort of article that people will inundate and report about because they go, well, this is anti-religion and this seems to be anti-Catholic, maybe even anti-Christian, we might even say. So, yeah, that's the net that you're opening yourself up to. Now, I know when they're talking about amendments, by the way, don't get me wrong, because these are people that are sneaky, and they're sneaky with words, by the way. They will probably, more than likely, I would say, try to give an exception to the media. That will be the get out of jail card, I assume. If you're a member of the public, they'll try and punish you. But when it's a member of the media, when it's an NGO, potentially, I would be interested to see where they go with this, and especially then if they leave that kind of open to interpretation insofar as an NGO could be pulled up, or a member of the media, or in specific terms, a media company, then they have a problem. Now, I don't think they will. I think that they have probably thought of that move long ago, and I think that would already be in the... I mean, look, a lot of people are already saying it is like, if you get your information from a non-mainstream source, well, then that's something that can be considered as hate speech, and you're like, sure, then that's totally anti-democratic. It is. It's authoritarianism. Now, again, the left not out talking about that, not talking about getting protests together or anything like that. The very people that supported anti-freedom, and to me, a lot of people there that you wouldn't even look at again. But a lot of these people, well, they change their tune when it comes to these things. Who knows? Protesters gather outside Leo Varadkar's home. This is the second demonstration, as they say here, because one took place outside Paul Murphy's, and Paul Murphy was out tweeting about it. It's like, I'm inside with my child. That's interesting, isn't it, that you're trying to use the child as a shield? And you see, this is what these people do, by the way, and politicians and that. Oh my God, I can't believe someone's outside my home. Well, a lot of these people can't contact you at your office. A lot of these people you won't speak to when they do contact you. You won't speak to them on the street. So this is the result that people have felt they have to go to. Now, obviously, when it comes to these things, this is the time when people have had more than enough with the stuff that's going on, and that's why they're gathering outside people's houses, and particularly politicians' houses. Now, there's some people out there, and I'm just going to give them cast a sort of an opinion on it. People somewhat think, now there's some people out there that will say this is a step too far, and you're seeing it starting to begin with some of the media out there, and like I said as well, too, the spineless ones that are out there as well on certain podcasts about they're going, just stand outside the government buildings. No effect, very little effect at all. This, on the other hand, has an effect because the media report on it gathers attention, and then people are like, I wonder what's going on over there, and they're like, oh, they want to curtail people's speech. Hang on here for a second, I'm not into that now. And to me, and just giving my opinion on this, is politicians can have a very easy and comfortable life. And this is all I'm saying. All I explain about on this channel is cause and effect. If I was a politician, I'd be doing the best thing that I can for this country, and certainly for Ireland. These people then will cry to the media about people being outside their home because they're doing things that are oppressive. That's what they're doing, and they have done now for the last number of years. And still you have people out there, surf attitude, oh my God, you shouldn't be outside the politician's home. Well, I tell you what, I used to be of that mind, but I'm starting very seriously to not be of that mind anymore. I'm like, well, here's the thing. They're fleecing you when it comes to money, fleecing you any way they can possible. There's bills coming out of your house out of the wazoo. Two people have to work. Generation ago, that wasn't the case. Certainly not 2 generations ago. And people have to work now to afford a lifestyle. Meanwhile, you're being oppressed constantly and consistently. You're now being told you're a racist in your own country. Your freedom of speech has been taken away from you. They're after taking your freedoms, your rights, your civil liberties away over the sniffles for the last couple of years. And you think it's a step too far to be outside one of these politicians' homes that's voting for this? Fuck off. You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. And here's the thing. I will always say peaceful, respectful protesting is important. And when you look at some of the stuff that they say in the legislation talking about placards and stuff like that, here's the thing. They don't want placards there because it becomes difficult when someone's holding up a sign going, this is why we're here. It becomes difficult for a photographer. That's why you don't see it. That's why it's not the image here. Why didn't the photographer go along and take a snap picture of what some of the people were there doing? Oh, no, they didn't. Why is that? Because it would probably wake people up as to what's going on. That's why stock image is being used. A very bad one at that as well, too. It's not good at all. It's very grainy, isn't it? Now it's Spock hair. Look at him. I mean, this guy is morphing into like a Biden character, isn't he? Like, I mean, this doesn't look real. So anyway, this is what I'm getting to now. People haven't got any more patience anymore. And I understand that. Now, am I endorsing it and supporting it? No. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm saying to you, I'm not supporting it. But I can understand that. And cause and effect is a very real thing. And a lot of people feel like they're out of options here. A lot of people that are living on the breadline. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are out there that haven't got an awful lot to their name. And, you know, I feel 100% for that 100%, of course, all of the time. But these people are being pushed to the edge, and they are looking and they are seeing themselves and family members go hungry and go homeless. And then they're looking at what this government are doing, running roughshod over people and taking free speech as well, too, thinking they're going to take her out any sort of pushback. The media, by the way, would be the same type of people that if they existed in and around the time of the British Empire being here in this country would have been calling you an anti-imperialist, an anti-British person, an anti-Britophobe, or whatever sort of slur that they could send you away. I mean, honest to God, with the shenanigans that Michael Collins got up to, and particularly the fact that, you know, what he did, you couldn't imagine the stuff that they probably would have wrote about him nowadays. Standing outside a politician's home gathers this sort of stuff as well. Like, you got to be real here. You got to be taking into account why people are doing this. People are doing this because they feel like they're not being listened to. They've been told now through a soundbite from Grift, it just seems like their voice is meaningless. So this is the next step that people take. And it's an understandable one because people have had enough. Because these people are the decision makers. And someone will say, oh, that's not fair to say. That's not fair to do that. These are the people making the decisions that are having dire effects on people's lives. Like serious effects. People's health. They like to talk about mental health. Mental health is the biggest spoof that these people come out with in the media and politicians. They couldn't give a fiddlers about mental health. Couldn't care less. How could you improve someone's mental health? Tell you what you could do. You could stop taking so much taxes off them. You could stop absolutely running roughshod over them in terms of bills and all of that. You could stop having these houses be priced out of the market for people and 2 people having to go to work to suffice and to support a household. That's what you could do. Instead, you're deciding to nail people, and particularly the native population of this country. And people are saying, no, I'm not going with it. So I get it. I understand. It's a somewhere can't square young people not having kids because of cost. This is another thing. You know, running into people lately as well too, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm living my best life. I'm going across to the likes of Tenerife and all that. I'm having a great time and being with the girls. And I'm like, okay, but you're 32. And they're looking going, yeah. And I'm like, you don't have an awful lot of time left. Yeah, but I'm having a good time. Okay. And then you meet that person then a couple of years later and they're like 36 and they're like panicked. I don't know what to do. I'm settling down with anybody. That's not good for anyone. Tell you why. Because you're panicking now and you've decided to settle down with someone that probably wouldn't have been there beforehand and probably isn't that interested. Listen, whatever people decide to do with their own lives, that's cool. But when it comes to this sort of stuff here, when you're telling people actively and talking about it in an article here, young people are increasingly not having families because of the cost of living and childcare. Well, here's the thing. foreign people aren't having that conversation. Like, I know multiple people that are, for example, religion and peace, are having 5 and 6 kids. They ain't worried about nothing like that. Why is that? You've got these people from the blue and yellow flag waving country arriving, loads of them as well. Seems as well too, anybody that I know that's African, they're popping kids out like there's no tomorrow. Like, they ain't worried about any of that sort of stuff. I think that that's strange. But what's happened is, and I will tell you this, what has happened with particularly white Irish people is consumerism and marketing. Marketing developed and aimed at them. Look at all of the signs that you see in adverts. You know, there's a great, as I said to you before, great Twitter profile, Africans and Irish adverts for some reason. Shows you as well too. That's a subliminal promotion, by the way, just as you know, obviously. Now, again, I'm just going to say Muhammad Ali and Charlemagne there, they have their own comments on these sort of things. Charlemagne was on a YouTube podcast 2 weeks ago on the Andrew Schultz podcast talking about black people should stay with black people. That's what he said. He's a black guy. Is there any sort of ism in that? Is there? Like, here's the thing. You have now Irish people that have been geared towards, okay, guys, look at Love Island, look at the consumerism and all that. You should totally and 100% worship these girls that go over there and are on camera doing all sorts of negative things. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that type of nonsense. Stop that type of promotion. And you also then have the other one, which is, okay, the Love Island lifestyle. I'm going to go over to Ibiza. I'm spending 10 years there. The clock is ticking. Boom, 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 boom. And then you arrive then at 40. And I talk to these women. You arrive at 40 and the panic sets in because you're like, 10 years. What do you have to show for that? Well, I have Michael Kors bags. I have Gucci and Prada. Sound okay? Any family? No. I don't want kids anyway. It's too expensive. There's loads of bags there, though. You know, that could have definitely funded. I didn't want the issue of it. Okay, well, you know, you've definitely bought into this sort of stuff. So I think this is pure and utter nonsense anyway. Like I said to you before, and it's something that I think we need to keep saying, you know, promote people having kids, promote families, particularly, obviously, promoting Irish families. Don't get me wrong as well, too. When they repealed that 8th thing, by the way, that was a very clear marker as well. And when you look at the numbers creeping out, and I mean, I honest to God mean this as well, too. It is difficult. And sometimes as a commentator on these things, it is very difficult to go and read some of the things that I read. I will say that. And you look at them and you go, wow, like, how can people be at the number of over 13,000 now? You know what I'm talking about? Now they're talking about in papers as well that they're talking about that it's not even successful and that they just leave them. And I will be honest with you, I read that last week and I've said it to you beforehand, and I'm always transparent when I say this. There's been about, I'd say in total about 4 times in my entire life where, if you've ever seen Green Lantern or if you're familiar with the Green Lantern comics, there's ones called the Red Lanterns. And the Red Lanterns are based with anger, and they have their blood turns to fire. Well, I'm not joking you. Mine did very much so the same last week. And you have to look at the medical profession, guys, and really ask questions as to how people could stand over that sort of stuff. Now, there's regularly GPs and doctors in general that are coming out and are like, no, I'm not performing this at all. It's staying on my soul. I can't live, I can't sleep, but I can't think about it. And rightfully so. But this is stuff that's going on. It's been admitted to in America. And there's papers that are starting to emerge now that are saying very similar things. Have families is what I'm saying. Have families. I know people that are out there and they'll say, well, you know, I got into a bit of trouble, or maybe, you know, I'm not sure. Have a family is what I'm saying to you. And particularly trying and settle down with the best person possible is what I will say. It's not always going to work out for everybody that's out there. I know that. But have a family, honestly, really. And I truly mean that. And I mean, you need to also be... I know people, again, in my own life start talking about, oh, I'll only have one kid or anything like that. And they're like, that's it, one and done, like that. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You should have as many as possible. And they're like, no, you're right there. And I mean, it doesn't take much convincing. They're like, oh, no, yeah, no, I should. And then you see them talking, they're like, oh, number 2's on the way. And you're like, brilliant. Great to hear that. Great to hear that. That's how you keep this history, culture, tradition, this country going, in my view. And this is what they're promoting here on News Talk. Young people can't afford it because of the cost. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Anyway, this is a banger of a video. I tell you what, lads, this probably is another one as well too that would definitely garner a video itself. So credit to whoever took this. I don't know who took this. I don't know who's in this video or anything like that. But obviously, as you can see here, this is Sinn Féin's own run. And again, like I just say to people as well, people will go, oh, you go so hard in on Sinn Féin. Yeah, because I think out of everybody that has, and I'm not saying I'm not going hard on anybody else, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, you know that they're heavily compromised and that they are absolutely no use to you. You know Labour are the same, you know Greens are the same. So there's no point in running over same points all the time, telling you what these people are and what they support. No point in doing that. What there is point in doing as well, I mean, look, and I say no point, I'm actually spending time doing that and talking about these things. But why a lot of people hone in on Sinn Féin is because these were supposed to be the people that were supposed to be the voice of the working class people. We're supposed to be Republicans. We're supposed to be nationalists. We're supposed to be patriots. We're supposed to be people based in reality. And this is the sort of stuff that you're being treated to by these people. Left-wingism just gone awry in this party. Now, there are an awful lot of people on Twitter and on social media that are talking about how old members, old Republicans are gathering together and they're viewing videos like this and they're viewing other things that are going on and they're saying, hang on here, lads, this is not what we signed up for. This is not where our brethren laid down their lives for. This isn't what people who have come beforehand and have agreed to certain things before in the past. This is not what they've agreed to. They haven't agreed to this sort of stuff. And these people are beginning, according to people on social media, to get tetchy. Now, I've said it beforehand. Where are the Republicans, the Nationalists, the Patriots that support Sinn Féin? Why haven't they, as a base, gone back to this party? This isn't a football team, lads. I know some of you think it is. I know you think this is Celtic or United or whatever it is, or Liverpool. You can't question the team leader. You should absolutely be questioning the team leader. Not only that, you should be questioning members of the party. When you have this stuff being propagated and being pushed out, this is one of the most eye-opening videos you could probably ever see from Sinn Féin to give you an a full eye into how these people think and what they are doing. Watch this. This is absolutely staggering. Now, I'm going to pause it after a few seconds because I honest to God couldn't believe this video when I saw it.
Owen, can we just ask one last question? What is a woman? What is a woman?
Now, lads, I thought that pause from Elon Musk and the BBC reporter was long, but that one, you can see the wheels in his head start to turn and say, oh, I'm recorded here first and foremost. I'm caught in the hop. Now, what is an adult? What is a woman? It's an adult female is a woman. Yeah, easy. Potter here, you know, Harry Potter. Harry here is supposed to be one of the greatest intellectuals that's ever ran in an election beforehand. That's what some people that really buy into the message, by the way, that are teamers. Listen, what's a teamer? A teamer is a person that won't. No, that's a word I've just made up, by the way. It's someone that is loyal to the team to a fault, insofar as they won't look at it. You know, I knew people growing up, and I suppose in real life it has actually come true, where I knew people beforehand where you would talk facts and you would give them figures, you know, Liverpool, say for example, Liverpool supporters, and people might say I'm having to go Liverpool supporters here now, but you'd say to them like, Liverpool are into the top team, and they go, oh no, but they have 5 Champions Leagues. Yeah, but they're not a top team in the Premier League. Like, they're not, well, but they won leagues beforehand. Yeah, no, but they've taken 30 years to do that again. Yeah, but Liverpool are great the year, and like they're the best the year, and they beat United. They did twice in the season. Yeah, but United are champions though, so ultimately it didn't matter. Do you understand that? And they're like, no, Liverpool much better than Manchester United, but the trophies don't back that up. Yeah, but no, they're much better there. Wouldn't listen to reason or anything like that. You know what I mean? And this is the same thing that you're saying with some of these people. Hang on, quick drink. Quick swig there. This is what you're starting to see now as well with some of these people that are involved in these political parties. Won't admit that there's a problem. Want to tell you, this is another thing, by the way, this is something I've noticed about too recently. There's actually a master plan. They're going along with this because the master plan is when they get into power, they're going to totally flip the script and totally going to go with the Nationalists and Patriots. I've looked at people and I've said to them, are you insane? You think that these people are doing things like this to gather favour with who? With who? Well, you know, you have to take everyone into account. They're driving the base away. They have people in working class areas chasing them down and saying to them, "What is a woman?" And these people are like, BT Dubs, Mary Lou, why are the borders opened? Why did you let people's freedoms and rights be taken away for the last couple of years over the sniffles that you recovered from yourself? Running away, not answering them. Oh, that's a masterstroke, lads. That's great political stuff. That's absolutely, I tell you what, masterful, lads. And who was one out of that there? Oh, the people that were interested in the mass and stuff like that. Okay, right. So you think that that's going to be part of the voting base now, do you? Driving nationalists and patriots away. I'm at the peak. I'm in the position now where I talk to people all the time, and particularly the teamers, Sinn Féin team, and not people involved with the Sinn Féin group or anything like that, and so far as like high up or anything like that, but people that are like really into it and they're like, oh no, like it's totally definitely a masterstroke, and I'm like, are you insane? They are actually driving people away. They are moving people on. The incident with Paddy Houlihan was the beginning of it for a lot of people. And now they're looking at it and they're going, uh-oh, something's going on here. This is another instance of it. Look how long it takes them to answer that question. That's staggering. It really is. And this is supposed to be an intellectual amongst that group.
That's one last question. What is a woman? What is a woman?
If you're asking me about gender...
No, I'm asking you, what is a woman? It's very simple. What is a woman? Give me a definition. You speak English. No, is a woman. What is a woman?
I believe that gender identity is culture.
I'm not asking about gender identity. I'm asking what is a woman. We use the word woman. We must then... You say what a woman is. Speech. You don't say what a woman is. I consider that hate speech. You're denying my existence. I'm asking, what is a woman? An adult human female. Say it's an adult human female.
I'm happy to answer. There are people in our society whose biological sex and gender aren't the same and don't fit the mainstream stereotypes of male and female genders as society defines them. And I think those people should be recognised and protected in law.
They are recognised, they are protected in law. They are recognised and protected in law.
So just again to talk about the teamers and stuff like that there, oh, it's a masterful plan. Who are these people appealing to? Less than 1%? Less than 1% of the population that believe in this sort of stuff. That's who they're appealing to. Oh, it's really going to win your votes, lads. Really going to win your votes. You have to be insane to think that that's going to be the way this is going to go. This video is very bad for Sinn Féin. Honest to God. And I mean this, like, people should be looking at this. Now, there's people that are talking about these people that are in this video and say that these people, oh my God, they're far right and they're radicals and all that. Very simple question. What's a woman? And this fella's caught. Like, I mean, that's amazing. What is it, like 6 seconds that he takes? Let's have a look.
Oh, can we just ask one last question? What is a woman? What is a woman?
If you're asking me about gender...
No, I'm asking you, what is a woman? It's a very simple question.
So 5 seconds there in and around there before he starts to answer the question. I mean, the long look here, that's insane. Like, it's just, I don't know what to say here. I'm on record here, and this is not going to end well. And it's gone even worse than one could imagine as well. This is why a lot of these people don't stop and talk to people in general. Now, obviously, he felt that, oh, we can stop and talk to these people and I can have some sort of a debate. But a lot of these people just go straight in because they're like, oh, I don't want to have anything now be recorded and it looks really bad. You see, these people can't stand up to scrutiny, and that's why videos like these are important. And this is what it comes down to when the public are asking questions like this. You can get up like I can. I mean, here's the thing. I'll say it as well, too, as clear as anybody. I can talk around here for 2 or 3 hours, whatever it might be. Same way as these people do. Uninterrupted, can speak whatever I think at that moment in time. When someone puts questions to you like this, though, for these people, because these people are now cultured in telling complete and utter fallacies, complete and utter lies, it becomes really difficult for them to respond. Whereas if someone said to me, what is a woman? Adult, human, female. I know earlier on I said adult, female, but I'll just preface that by saying, yeah, it's an adult, human, female. Simple. But with these people, it's like, oh no, because you're not on the Dáil floor. The script obviously hasn't been agreed to beforehand, and you can't get up there and pretend to not like Leo Varadkar. Do you know what I mean? The theatrics that are recording in front of us are absolutely out there, and they've been going on for a very long time. But that to me is very, very, very clear. So let's have a look on the hate speech stuff. This is some of the stuff I was talking to you about earlier on. So, offence of prepared or possessing material likely to incite violence or hatred against a person's on account of their protected characteristics. So, that's again another thing that's open to interpretation, which an awful lot of these things are. Now, we'll swiftly beat this down as well too with the Constitution in a few minutes, because the Constitution is something that the government have gone on record and have actually said through the media that they're not really fans of. The Constitution is the only thing that keeps these people in check. Now, when it comes to these things, something that the old boy always says is T for one, T for all. And that's what an awful lot of people feel like out there. They're like, okay, you want to enact this sort of stuff? Well, game on. So it's going to get hilarious from here on out. I don't think they've thought about this. Subject to subsections 2 and 3 and section 11, a person shall be guilty of an offence under this section if the person prepares or possesses material that is likely to incite violence or hatred against a person or a group of persons on account of their protected characteristics or any of those characteristics. So what this could be interpreted to mean is the likes of a meme or a video. Could be anything. Now, a lot of people have appropriately, in my view, said, well, I tell you what, lads, if they want to arrest a lot of people, they're telling you that the jail's overcrowded anyway. Do you remember when they let a lot of prisoners out at the start of the sniffles? Remember that when people that were actually convicted of crimes were put into jail and they said, sniffles overcrowding, let's let them out. They haven't got the prison space to hold everybody. So if everybody was involved in this, they wouldn't be able to do it. My personal belief is that they're going to have someone and they're going to try and make an example out of them the same way what they're trying to do with the books. They're trying to make an example out of those people for sure. And I think this is probably, maybe, possibly, potentially, allegedly, especially linked in with that sort of stuff. So this is very wide and, of course, open to interpretation as well too, because hatred as well. Hatred is a feeling. And look, I'll be honest with you, and I'm always very transparent. There's people that probably tune into this channel and they do, I know that they do, because sometimes you get an L dislike on the video. I appreciate that. It's good. It's interaction. It keeps the channel boosted. That's happy days. But there's people that probably tune in and absolutely despise me. You're free to feel that way. You know, hate is an emotion, and it's an emotion that a lot of people feel. You know, people don't like spiders. They intensely don't. I don't feel like that way, but other people do. I don't like flies. I don't like certain types of food. Other people do. Other people don't like certain types of food, but I like them. So this is something that these people try to push out there. You know, these people that, you know, hashtag hate has no home here, not that. And these would be the very people that view the lens of everything through race and through identity politics. Look at the writer strike that's going on in America. People are laughing. They're like, happy days, lads. You won't be getting any woke crap now in the next while. People are like, keep the picket going. Lovely. Keep it going. Because now you've gotten to a stage of the game now where people are like, well, this is so open to interpretation. It's not going to be in favor of Christians. It's not going to be in favor of white men. It's not going to be in favor of straight white men. And, you know, maybe a caveat of all of that there included together. It's going to be specifically designed to prop up people from communities that these people are using as well to annoy others. With a view to the material being communicated to the public or a section of the public, whether by himself or herself or another person. So a lot of people are saying, yeah, no problem, I'd go ahead and I'd go to jail for that. A lot of people are saying that online. They're like, yeah, no worries, like, lockers up there, I tell you what, 12 months, no bother at all, there were no issues, gonna get TV, Sky Sports, roof over the head, free meals, lovely jubbly, lads, thanks for that. And that's where the panic will start to be, start to come in when people are like, I'm gonna take the mick, gonna have a laugh. Prepares or possesses such material with intent to incite violence or hatred against such a person or group of persons on account of those characteristics or any of those characteristics, or being reckless as to whether such violence or hatred is thereby incited. In any proceedings for an offence under this section, it shall be a defence to prove that the material concerned consistently solely of. So just to talk about that there, a lot of people have said that the way that this is worded is that you are guilty until you prove that you're innocent. Now, that is inversion of law, as you know. That is not how things work. That is how things have been going on for the last number of years. You know, this social media, trial by social media. Like, you've got a character out there, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is playing the character of Kang in the MCU. He's been dropped by multiple agencies. He's been dropped by different movie productions, I suppose, already, over an accusation. It's not even a specified criminal conviction. Nothing. An accusation. So his career has been totally derailed. Now, here's the thing. There's a possibility that it could be true, of course, but you have to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Did the Captain Jack Sparrow situation not teach anybody anything? Clearly it didn't. And these things are working in people's, I suppose, people that make this accusation, it's working in their benefit, because they go out and sell these stories, and then a career is tainted, and then it's like, well, 10 years later, there's a comeback on because it's proven then later on that that person wasn't guilty of what you said they were. I mean, that's how long that Jack Sparrow's been sitting out on the sideline, nearly 10 years, 7 years, I think it is now. Like, that's a long time over something that was proved to be bogus. So anyway, that's getting out of the points here. A reasonable and genuine contribution to literary, artistic, political, scientific, religious, or academic discourse. A statement that is subject of the defense of absolute privilege, or material that is necessary for any other lawful purpose, including law enforcement or the investigation or prosecution of an offence. In any proceedings for an offence under this section where it is proved that the accused person was in possession of material such as is referred to in subsection 1, and it is reasonable to assume that the material was not intended for the personal use of the person shall be presumed, until the contrary is proved, to have been in possession of the material in contravention of subsection 1. So, like I said, you're being told you're guilty until you prove that you're innocent. It is absolutely out there, lads. A person guilty of an offence under this section shall be liable on summary conviction to a Class C fine, or, now that's a big or, by the way, just so you know. This government and the judicial system are mad for fines. They love fines because it's another tax, another way to steal money off of you. And this is the idea here, in my humble opinion. Look at the stuff with the 5 kilometres now, that and all the stuff over the last couple of years. Oh, we're going to put you to jail. Bad idea, lads. You're going to make a martyr out of a few people there. Tell you what we'll do, hit them with a fine. Look at what happened with Burke. What are we going to do there? Well, we did put him in jail. We've made a martyr out of him. Bad idea, lads. It's gotten a lot of attention. What are we going to do? We're going to impose fines on him. It's up to 60 grand right now. And he's, in my opinion, my humble opinion, in my honest opinion, he's right not to pay it. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd what's going on with him and what has happened to him. It's absurd. Such is life, however. So the order is important, or for a term not exceeding 6 months, or both, or on conviction or on indictment to a Class A fine, or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, or both. So the fine print here, obviously, is we're interested in you paying up for thinking the wrong thing. And like anything with these things, when they have these little spiels about, oh, he has no home here, and anti-ism and all this stuff, like, it's all, well, you know, you paid fine. Remember Edinson Cavani? What did Edinson Cavani pay? Something like 20 grand or something like that, because he said a word on Instagram. And it was like, well, you know, the FA aren't really happy with that. I think they banned him for like 3 matches as well. So it's all stuff coming down the pipeline is what I'm saying here. And this needs to be absolutely thrown out the window in terms of the Shannon need to be looking at this and ripping her up and saying, look, do we think that's going to happen? Well, it remains to be seen. The more attention that's brought to this, the better, though, because if this is under the spotlight, it makes it incredibly difficult then for those people to pass it and put their names on it. You know what I mean? Now, we're going to look at some of the names that voted for this, by the way, and that's important to know who voted for this, because these are local representatives, these are TDs that have voted for this from all parties involved. Allegedly, respectively, we said that because a couple of PVP actually voted against it, in fairness. The Matty McGrath voted against it. Like I said as well too, PVP, wishy-washy to me as well too, need a bit of public support, I suppose. And Matty McGrath, for example, has been consistent. But this is the nonsense that these people are out there now championing. But it's whooped with the Constitution straight away, because the Constitution just looks at this and says, well, Article 40.61 in the Irish Constitution, freedom of expression. You have a right to freely express your convictions and opinions. Article 40.6.1.I. So you really got to look at that, because there's another thing as well too that talks about the repugnant nature. Here. The Oireachtas shall not enact any law which is in any respect repugnant to this Constitution or any provision thereof, Every law enacted by the Oireachtas which is in any way repugnant to this constitution or to any provision thereof shall, but to the extent only of such repugnancy, be invalid. So what that essentially says is that no matter if they bring you up in front of any sort of court with relation to this, you've got to point to the constitution and go, that's what that says there, fuck off, and have a look at that. So do we think that this is a bit of spinning plates? Is this a bit of jive talking to get people's eye off the ball when it comes to like some mortgage interest? Possibly. I do, however, much more believe that this is repercussions again for not holding people accountable and not being arrested for what has gone on over the last couple of years. And this is going to just get worse and worse and worse. What can also happen in the meantime, by the way, is a general election, and that could dissolve this whole spiel here. That could end it too before it even gets off the ground. So, important to note that this person here, Helen McEntee, is responsible for this. She is responsible. People now would say, she? You sure about those pronouns? She, her, they, them? Is it? No? She, her? Yeah? You sure you want to go with that? Okay. Anyway, you know, my thoughts and the thoughts of an awful lot of people on this individual here. This is me. You're badly letting us down. You need to have a representative. You need to have someone like John Dutton rolling out into town. You know what I mean? Not someone like this here, or Regina Doherty, or any of the other people that are blow-ins here from other countries that are trying to take up office. That's another thing, by the way. People are trying to take up office in this country that are not even from this country. It's insane, the stuff that's going on here in this country. But she's ultimately responsible for this. Now, again, there have been a couple of people online that have said, but she's just acting on the behest of the forum and other people. Listen, she could tell them to get bent. All of these people could tell them to do this. They could say, I get bent. What this shows, and I'm just saying this, guys, right, because listen, when we go through these names here as well too, this boils down to this, I will just say. Leftist women, men of a certain persuasion, we shall just say, and beta men should be nowhere near the levers of power. Shouldn't be anywhere near it right now. Shouldn't be anywhere near it ever again. You need alpha testosterone-driven guys in here running this country. You look at some of the other countries and how they run their countries, and they don't even entertain any of this sort of stuff. I mean, I haven't heard a dicky word about Afghanistan in the last 6 months. Have you? Nothing. Haven't heard a peep out of them. Japan operate on a very similar level. Only recently as well. I think I did a video on that about like 2 years ago. One of the top Japanese parties were like, well, we have female employees here. We don't let them speak though. Yeah, we don't want to hear it. Now that's females in general. So this is an exercise that a lot of people are starting to look at. They're starting to go, well, this tolerating soy beta males, this idea of tolerating fellas and women of a certain persuasion, this idea of tolerating leftist women and certainly electing them it's not going well. So this should be a lesson, and it should be remembered as such. Who voted yes to this, by the way? So just going back to this one here. Who voted yes to this? Well, give you the names. Oh yes, Chris Andrews. Now, wasn't he in headlines there not too recently as well too, because he stood up in the Dáil with a Palestine jersey on him because Joe Biden was there, but voted for this sort of stuff against you? Huh? Cathal Berry, John Brady, Colin Brophy, James Brown, Martin Brown, Richard Bruton, Pat Buckley. Fair play to Richard Bruton there. He's debating whether he should run in the next general election like that, but saw fit there to say yes to this nonsense. Colin Burke, Mary Butler, Thomas Bourne, Jackie Cahill, Holly Cairns. There you go. I mean, what's going on with Ron Hanley there? Social Democrats. Any update on him? Has he been arrested yet? Is there any update? Any investigation going on there? Derek O'Leary. Wasn't he involved in Golfgate? Sean Connery, Kieran Cannon, Jennifer Carroll McNeil, McCarthy, Jack Chambers. That's a fella now that recently was in the news, as I said earlier on there, because he said there was a threat upon his existence. A guy with a Lego Man haircut. He was afraid, by the way, according to the article, allegedly, spectively, he was allegedly afraid of people that were still annoyed over the sniffles. I mean, if you're not still annoyed over the sniffle stuff, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this all just plays into each other. It's all linked, you know what I mean? Sorka Clark, Niall Collins, Rose Conway Walsh, Patrick Costello. Why is that name familiar? That's right. That's Hazel Chew's husband, by the way. Simon Coveney, of course, absolutely there. Barry Cowan, Rada Cronin, Cathal Crowe, That's a fella now that was really upset about what Satirical Soldier had said about him beforehand. Remember that one there? That's obviously a very well-adjusted individual voting for this sort of stuff. Pa Daly, Cormac Devlin, Alan Dillon, Paul Donnelly. That's a Sinn Féin member, by the way, just as we know. Just as we're all familiar with that there. That's an idiot, by the way, that went into the Dáil and was talking about people, oh, there's people outside anti-maskers there. And then went in and came out and was like, oh, well, actually, guys, didn't even delete the tweet, didn't even have the shred of intelligence to do that. Decided to follow up with, well, actually, guys, they were actually homeless and I had a chat with them. Terrible stories that they were giving me, feel very sad for them. This guy is voting for this. This is Sinn Féin, guys. Stephen Donnelly, Pascal Donoghue, Pascal. Francis Noel Duffy. Pascal Donoghue been in hot water there recently there because they're saying that the minutes of allegedly speculated minutes of a meeting with NGOs seems to have gone missing. They're like, I don't know really where they are there, guys, allegedly speculatively. So you've got Francis Noel Duffy, Bernard J. Dorkin, Desi Ellis. That's another Sinn Féin member, by the way. That's Sinn Finglas. Sure, Gavin Pepper will be in here, and I'm sure it'll be. Here's what's going. Gavin Pepper is going to be down to that office tomorrow. He's going to be like, you voted for this and I'm not happy with it. And I have to say, I like Gavin's attitude. I really do, Damien English, Alan Farrell, Mairead Farrell. You've got Frankie Fayen, Joe Flaherty, Charles Flanagan. Now Charlie Flanagan still hanging around. Fella that ran away from Philip Dwyer, huh? Sean Fleming, Norma Foley. A lot of people asking about her pronouns as well too. There was some stuff that I shared on Twitter and they were like, yeah, sure. I was like, well, Kathleen Funkian, Gary Gannon, another one as well too. Another stuttering, bleeding, lispy fucker that's in there. Well, listen, guys, someone called me a ginger over here, I don't know whether that's hate speech or nothing like that there now. Fucking sold out his own people he did in his own area. Vulture funds, all this sort of stuff and everything that's going on. People at Dublin are well wide to him, by the way. Scraped his way in, he did. Anyway, he really irritates me. There was another social democrat. No, the alt-right, the far-right are taking up, they're taking up, they're getting together. Like, if you were any sort of use, you'd be looking at your own community and looking at what's going on in town. I've seen like 4 videos in the last 3 weeks there of fellas in the nip walking around town. It's actually outrageous. Walking through Henry Street, walking through O'Connell Street, not a garden site. And this fella's like, it's actually no problem there isn't in Dublin 1. There is. Dublin 1's a kip now. An absolute kip. Until you get to Grafton Street. Then it changes. I don't know why that changes, guys. It's very strange. It seems to change once you go over the Halfpenny Bridge. But listen, O'Connell Street's an absolute dive. People used to talk about, I remember people used to talk about New York, and they used to be like, New York was a dump it was before Giuliani came in. And I'm like, well, this is the same sort of energy we're getting here. It's an absolute kip. Unbelievable. But there's another fella. By the way, Gary, what's going on with Owen Hanley? Any update on him at all? Is there any investigation happening there? Thomas Gould. Is it Gould or Gould? Brendan Griffin. Johnny Girk. No, Kirk, is it? No, it can be Girk, yeah. Just a J there. It's a weird looking there. Isn't that one? Sean Haughey. Martin Hayden. Emer Higgins. Brendan Howland. That's another name that's been around a very long time, isn't it? Like, that's another one that's just like, he's still there. Lessons to be learned, guys, from this one. Heather Humphreys, Paul Keogh, Martin Kenny, Claire Corraine, John Lahart, Brian Ledden, Michael Lowry, Padraig McLaughlin, Josepha Madigan, Michal Martin. Of course, we want nothing to do with a backward way of looking at sovereignty. Report to you. So uninspiring. Imagine that fella being your leader. Absolutely unbelievable. Complete wet wipe. No, he's not even a wet wipe. Wet wipes are of some use. This fella's of no use. This fella's in the government, what was it, since 1997? Is it 1997? Is it earlier than that? Is it 1987? What can you accomplish in that amount of time? Nothing. Except fucking over your own people. That's what you've accomplished, you have. Anyway. Stephen Matthews, Paul McAuliffe, Charlie McConnell, Michael McGrath, John McGuinness, John McHugh, Denise Mitchell, Andreas Moynihan, Michael Moynihan, Jennifer Moran O'Connell, Jed Nash. He's always on the bad side of these things. Hildegard Nocton, Malcolm Noonan, Dara O'Brien, Joe O'Brien, Cian O'Callaghan, Jim O'Callaghan, and he related as well too to Miriam, James O'Connor, Kieran O'Donnell, Fergus O'Dowd, Roderick O'Gorman, of course there, Louise O'Reilly. People are starting to wake up now to this Sinn Féin party, I'm telling you, lads. Darren O'Rourke, Christopher O'Sullivan, Padraig O'Sullivan, Owen O'Brien, You know what I mean? Are you aware of that? Marco Kosick, Eamon O'Queeve, Rory O'Murku, Aidan O'Riordan, Angus O'Snowdig, Morris Quinlivan, Anne Rabbit, Neil Richmond, Michael Ring, Eamon Ryan, Patricia Ryan, Brendan Smith, Duncan Smith, Ossian Smith, Brian Stanley, David Stanton, Pauline Tully, Leo Varadkar, Mark Ward, Jennifer Whitmore. Couple of noticeable names there that are absent though, isn't there? There's a few of them that didn't even vote. Now I think some of them were out of the game now. What's the biggest name there that I didn't read out? Is Mary Lou McDonald. And I don't think I read out Pierce Doherty either. Isn't that interesting? That's something, isn't it? Now, they weren't even on the abstains. So was that because they were on business elsewhere? I'm not really sure. Someone might let me know in the chat. But I thought that was a weird one. But anyway, Owen O'Brien is probably the most seen, we'll just say probably the most notable Sinn Féin member there anyway, voted for this sort of stuff. Someone there saying in the chat there, Eamon O'Queeve, what? That's Dev's grandson. Listen, I have my own opinions there on De Valera, and it's not a good one, to be fair. All of the bogey stuff that has happened since 1916, and like you can trace it all back, you can, to some of the people that haven't lived, that didn't live long enough. I can tell you that for sure. Anyway, these are the people responsible for this gross attack on your freedom of speech, on democracy here in this country. These people haven't been tasked with getting this done. They haven't been tasked. They haven't gone to the electorate, and the electorate haven't asked for this. And I'm going to show you how now in a moment. Here's how I'm going to show you. When you explain to people what they want to do, people ain't on board for this. They ain't interested. So as you can see here, this got 3,013 views. I said, do you support Ireland's hate speech law? 94% said no. So that is a staggering amount of people. 6% said yes, which is a big problem. Now, I will say this. I would say there was about 5 people, because I said underneath that, I was just like, comment underneath why you voted yes. Now, I did that because I just was genuinely curious, obviously. And there was about 5 comments that said, I read it wrong. Okay, well, I wasn't impressed, is what I'm going to say. I was like, you need to start reading these things. You need to take things like this seriously instead of just pushing it. There's 1 or 2 people that were like, I have fat fingers. And I was like, well, look, you know, I'll give you a bit of leeway on that one there, but slim down there, book up. That's what you should be doing. You know, get prepared. I'm not going to be able to carry you if you're not in shape. But anyway, 824 votes here. And an overwhelming majority that voted this down. Not interested in it. Now, just to be serious with you and to quantify this here as well, the large majority here, and obviously 824 votes, are more votes than the people that are in the dot. Okay? So again, this backs up what Gript was saying as well, which was the large majority of people are not in favour of this here, and then Grift's been told by Radgar in essence to get bent. No, don't be asking those questions. We'll just make the decisions here. The electorate and people here online are actively telling you that's not what we want. Now, I know some people that say, Ninja, there's people that could be voting on this and they could be from a different country. They're opening the voting up for people from different countries here. They're actively putting in candidates into elections and as councillors that are foreigners. So that argument doesn't really weigh in for me, considering the fact of what this government and what these political parties are up to. So that's what you have there. You've got an overwhelming majority that are like, nah, not interested in that. And here was another one that absolutely came out as a banger, was this tweet here that I put out. And I said, Helen McEntee, picture here, is responsible for the hate speech law in Ireland, because this is the person, as the Minister for Justice, that created this. And you can view these bills from their inception, by the way. So that's what I did. I looked back at its inception and I said, who was the Minister for Justice at the time? And the Minister for Justice was Helen McEntee. So it can be traced all the way back. That's the beauty of these bills. And when you see the stages and stuff like that, you can see who was in the position at that moment in time. And like I said, the culpability is there for her, for Heather Humphreys, and for Simon Harris. All 3 of them. So I'm not taking shots at one person in time, well, they ain't involved here. They're equally as culpable, along with everybody that voted yes to that. Everyone is culpable for that. And what I'm saying to you is, if you message these people, again, respectfully, peacefully, their emails are online. They are open for you to get in touch with them. Get in touch with them. It's 2 minutes of your time. whoever your local representative is there that I've read out, take 2 minutes out of your day to send those people an email and tell them that you do not agree with what they have voted for. Because it will set in real quick with how many people are inundating them with emails. They told you through the media that only a couple of hundred people inundated them with emails about the stuff that they wanted to be putting into the curriculum for kids. They said, all right, we're dropping that there, guys. We're dropping that there. Sorry about that. Whoops. Because way too many people obviously came in, and more than a couple of hundred, I would suggest, and said, we're not having this now. We're not into that. And they went, whoops, got to drop that there. That's way too many votes. And it'd look really strange if an awful lot of people were on side here. Same thing will happen with this. This thing will be pulled if enough people get in touch with these people and say, oi, I'm not happy with this. I'm not voting for you again. And as a matter of fact as well, too, this is really, really bad. But on the uptick is this Twitter, because I was really shocked. Obviously, I put this up here, 29.7 thousand views, 711 likes. Now, what I did, because I always like to do due diligence, I had a look at Helen McEntee's profile, and I said, I wonder what type of likes her recent tweets have been getting. They're getting 711. I'm getting more likes on this tweet here than the Taoiseach has been getting on an awful lot of his things. And that was Taoiseach when it was Micheál Martin. Even when he was tagging POTUS and stuff like that, that's more likes than what he was getting. And more likes than what Varadkar's getting. 237 retweets as well too. So this is doing good numbers. And it's doing good numbers because people like me and others that are out there are pointing out who's responsible for these things. This is what is going on in this country, and it's absolutely unbelievable to see this sort of stuff be just cast as if it's nothing. But like I said to you as well too, I think all of these things happen for a reason. I think this is another distraction in a way, because I think, and here's what I'm saying to you, if the message is filtered through to the channels, and again, that's where you should be going reading right now. TDs are important to mail and telling them that you're not happy with them, but you should be mailing your local representative and senators in general and say to them that you're not with this, you're not for this. Because here's the thing, and it was a great point that was made by Toby last night in the spaces, was that it's great doing things online. And Chopper was making a similar comment as well, and so was the Irish Kit as well, and the Lane Mullally that was in there. They're making great comments insofar as, like, there's loads of energy and it's great to see this energy on Twitter, but the effect would be to mail these people and tell them you're not on board with this. That is how you make a change, and I 100% agree with that. Because whilst people, and I know people of an older generation look at this and be like, Twitter, sure, that means nothing. It's meant a lot over the last couple of years because it's been involved in cultural shifts and plays that have been made towards people. But this, to me, is where it needs to go next. You need to be mailing these people again. As I said, respectfully, peacefully, that's why they're there. That's what they're there for. They're public representatives. They answer to you. You don't answer to them. This parasite class have become way too comfortable with the thoughts that they think that they are the ruling class over you and that they are on a different level. They answer to you. We should recommend that they understand that, because that is how these things are supposed to go. People that are public representatives that are refusing to deal and speak to the public, like you've seen earlier on, are not public representatives. They're talking heads. So it is high time that people remind these people of their duties and of what we expect of them. Now, we'll just jump in here as well too. I'm going to have a look there later on through these, because I'll be doing a video on it, obviously, of course. Oh, Elon Musk weighed in. Like I said, it's great that he's weighing in, but important because you got to help yourself. 2.6 million views on this one. This is a response as well to, I think it was Niall Boylan, maybe it was. Maybe there was a couple of others that were out there that he did tweet and was like, this is a massive attack against freedom of speech. Absolutely right. And I mean, he's well aware as to what's going on around the world, and highlighting the stuff as to what's going on in Ireland is bad luck for people in government, by the way. Don't like it. Government 2021, take this stuff or we will fire you. Take your food from you, take your children, put you in camps and leave you to go without medical treatment. 2023, nobody forced you. This is currently what's going on, by the way. And Schmeagol here, our Gollum is, people are like, this is twice we've seen Gollum in this stream. Listen. We enjoy having a laugh here. That's what's important. But this is the current situation that they're in right now. They're like, the data doesn't look good, guys. And excess situations that are happening, particularly in Waterford, which was the highest uptake, are getting out of hand real quick. And the year hasn't even ended. Like, people are gathering information from RIP.ie and it's not looking good. There's an excess there that is huge already. And this is only month 5 into this year. Interesting times. But like I said, no repercussions for people that push this stuff or that get this stuff out and threaten people or anything like that. No repercussions for that. And that's where you find yourself down with that hate speech stuff, is to quell any sort of dissidence. Like, it's to quell any sort of questions in future. Like, this is the repercussions of not holding these people accountable, but also how these people are trying to strike back, which is, yeah, you toppled our narrative there before, but I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try and threaten you with fines and imprisonment to try and shut you up. Not going to work. If you allow lawyers and thieves to make decisions for you, then you shouldn't be surprised when they make bad decisions for you. That's very true. No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth. Plato. Boy, I tell you what, the truth is making a comeback. People are interested in the truth. I'm not seeing over 100 people here, over 140 here tonight in tonight's stream. It's awesome to see that are loving the truth, enjoying the truth. And of course, as well, too, I try to give you my thoughts and opinions, and obviously as authentically as I am, because that's something that I viewed on mainstream over the last number of years. I didn't see an awful lot of authenticity, and I said, you know what, I'll jump on and I'll talk about these things myself because I have something to say about this. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with the current trajectory of this country. But here's the thing, it's entirely fixable. A lot of people think, oh, it's over, we can't do anything. That's the type of mindset they want you in. Centuries this country did for its independence. And don't tell me that you're going to lay down over the course of 10 years to nonsense and to people that have no spines. Honestly, really honestly mean that. So, free speech rally Saturday, 13th of May 2023, 2 p.m, Customs House, Dublin, Irish Freedom Party and friends. People that say, oh, it shouldn't be politics. Disagree. Now's the time for political groups and alternatives to rush forward and be very serious options in the next election, because it's become very clear to everybody. And you need to be telling the truth to as many people as possible when you see them. Like, don't be standing on ceremony of, oh, I don't know what this person thinks of me. Say to them, here, what do you think about the spoof that's coming out here? What do you think about Ona Brun not being able to tell you what a woman is or anything like that? And, you know, you might be surprised with some of the reactions you get. I've gotten some brilliant reactions and people are like, no, you're absolutely right. And they're on the wavelength now as to what's going on. It's great. You get others then that you're like, okay, you're an NPC. That's grand. I won't be talking to you about any of this again. I'll keep mentioning it for sure, just to keep it going. But you're not going to get an awful lot out of it. Massive attack against freedom of speech. Elon Musk condemns Ireland's Orwellian hate speech bill. So that's after making news over here as well. That's important too. It's garnering attention. Remember painting these clouds as a kid? Yeah, me neither. Yeah, Bob Ross as well too. That's another thing to keep an eye on as well over the next couple of days. There's a fantastic meme that came out as well. Now, just to be clear, this isn't real. This is not real. This is a meme. Someone's made this. Someone's photoshopped this in here to make a joke of this. It's understood that North Korea's Kim Jong-un has found for Edgar to congratulate him on Ireland's new hate speech laws. Oh, stop. The lads, to have a great time to do it. Have a laugh. Let's have a look now and see if anything else now. I don't think there is. No. Oh, yeah, Tucker Carlson. There's another one. Climate change now getting away from need for higher taxation to deter fossil fuel use. Nonsense. That's more nonsense. Did I have something here? Yeah, I did have this one. Minister says racism behind accommodation providers refusing asylum seekers. Not that they're breaking up the kips or anything like that. Not that they're walking around doing all sorts of activities that would be considered illegal normally, but people have been told, don't take that too seriously. Don't turn a blind eye to that. But look at this. This is the power of social media too, by the way, to just totally embarrass this publication. When you have 103,000 views, you've got 32 likes, and you have 307 comments that are actually based on this Green Party TD. Green Party, man, I can't explain in words how much I absolutely despise that party. That party is a very bad party, and they're built on complete nonsense, in my view. This has 357 views and 40 likes. Now, I said, like this tweet if you think the Green Party are anti-Irish, and boom, 8 more likes than them in less time. It's absolutely astounding, isn't it? And with way less views. I mean, think about that. They should be trouncing me with likes here. They should be absolutely whooping me with likes, especially with that amount of views. What was it there that I had 29,000 views in the Helen McEntee tweet and I had 711 likes? How come they have 100,000 views on this and they've only gotten 32? What's that about? You see, this is why the mainstream media along with the government are panicked, and this is why this hate speech stuff, they're trying to rush it through, because they're like, oh shit, we're losing the narrative here fast to idiots on YouTube. And I say it, I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about anyone else or anything like that. I'm only making light of the situation, having a joke. But listen, I've got no sort of journalist degree or nothing like that, and I'm on here talking, and I'm ratioing a what's supposed to be a media outlet and a TD, I suppose, in tow. That's not good, is it? Doesn't look good for you. Anyway, we'll jump on. I will jump onto that now in a few minutes. INTO. So the INTO are the Irish National Teachers Organisation. This is a union, and this is what they're posting out there. And again, 49.5 thousand views, 121 likes. I'm spanking these as well. The far right does not represent working people. Trade unions do. A powerful anti-racist message presented by former Fair City actor Donna Anita Nicolason being released by ICTU ahead of May Day tomorrow. Now, this is a person, by the way, that was abandoned by her father, who was actually African, so no dad there, and then was put up for adoption. And obviously, some couple there must be Scandinavian, I think it was. I read into this really quickly, I did, and I picked this one up, and now she's spouting out this sort of stuff. So, a very confused person, not an Irish person anyway, and is out there talking about the far right and an actor nonetheless. So, yeah. Oh my God, we'll spread fear. And how do we do that? We'll hire someone. Who will we hire? Will we hire a genuine, authentic person from off the street? No. Who will we hire? We'll hire an actress. Good one, lads. Good one. Really clever move there, fellas. Really silly. Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson is a bit of a story over the last week or two, because he was mutually, I think it was a mutual agreement to not go on Fox anymore. And this goes to show you just how much the mainstream are done. They're finished. Now, you might say to me, Ninja, that's, a staple in people's society. He's reaching so many people with the likes of Fox and maybe even CNN. No, he's good. 11.5 million views over here, 35.4 million views overall. So that's people that will scroll past that and see it. But 11.5 million people took the time to have a look at what Tucker said here, with over 500,000 likes. That's insane. That's insane, lads. That's really good numbers. And that is for a 2-minute and 14-second clip. So the mainstream are finished. Tucker realizes it. And so do an awful lot of people out there. People out there that have their own podcast. Like, that's the most interesting thing. The podcasting genre has gotten out of hand for a lot of these people. Initially, it was like, oh, that's a good thing, and let's see what goes on. Then what happened was these companies and these people, NGOs, and that tried to make themselves part of them, and they were like, okay, we're gonna get involved in that. And people wise up to it real quick. They see the two ball bags that were on there that like to talk on ball bags, having Micheál Martin on there a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, no, we're wise to that now. You're on there laughing and joking with him, and he's messing up futures, and he's been in government for a very long time. He's having a laugh and a joke with his lads. That certainly wouldn't be what I'd be doing if I was interviewing him. He wouldn't be laughing and joking with me, I can assure you that. But the mainstream media as a whole is done, and that's why they're trying to move towards the podcasting game, but they don't understand how to do it. They don't understand how to touch and get involved with what's on people's minds and what people are really thinking. They will try to, but it doesn't work. So this fella now is off the leash, which is going to be interesting to see how things go from here on out, because obviously when you're not a network, here's the thing with a network are telling you what to do. When you're independent, like I am, there's no strings over me. When I say I'm independent, by the way, you, the viewer who is listening to this, the people that are constantly in here in the chat and commenting and all that and are subscribing here and are following me and stuff like that, you're the boss. Like, if you don't like what I'm saying, you let me know. And you're like, oh, no, I don't agree with that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And that's the thing. Whereas these people here in networks, their boss is some dude sitting above them or some woman that's like, well, I don't actually think that that's a good idea. Look at what the Bud Light controversy. People in America and over the world are nearly breaking Anheuser-Busch because they're like, tell you what, you want to lose 5 billion, we're going to make you lose 10. And they've put the two people that are involved in that Dylan Mulvaney situation with Bud Light, they put the two of them on administrative leave. People are like, no, get rid of them. You want that out. This is the same thing with this Hollywood writer strike. They're like, tell you what, anyone that's in there that's woke activists, this is the time now to get shut of them. Look, don't want that anymore. Top Gun Maverick, more of that. John Wick 4, more of that. Happy days. This independent media, more of that. Less mainstream. You see, the thing is, mainstream, and this is the thing, They've brought themselves into a lull where they haven't had to improve or innovate in a very long time. And they are scared. They are terrified of innovation. They are terrified of altering how things go. Look at the haircuts an awful lot of them have. Look at the haircuts on our own politicians as well too. No innovation, no flair, no nothing. No linking in with what's going on. Totally alien to what most people are like. There's nobody running into the likes of the doll with a fresh fade. Nobody. It's nobody. Nobody's doing it. And this is the thing, guys. These people are so out of touch with the people that's why they fear it, because they're like, oh, there's a change happening here, and the people that we believe are below us are making that change. You best believe it. You best believe it. What else have we got here? This is censorship is the tool used when the lie loses its power. So yeah, that's what's going on. The lie has lost its power now. It's done. Twitter has seen fit now to absolutely, totally, and utterly destroy an awful lot of narratives over the last couple of years, and it's fantastic to see. Germany hopes to help climate with discount travel cards. So anything the Germans are doing, best believe it's going to be trialed here too. So again, when you see stuff like this, guys, be concerned. Germany today launches a new flat rate public transport ticket valid across the country, but the €49 price point has raised doubts about the pass's potential impact. So guys, pay loads there for your travel pass, because that'll totally help fix the weather. Lads, honestly. This is what I'm talking about. This is the Jack Chambers one as well. They never post receipts, but always find a way to spend money on needless shite. Middle class users line dealers' pockets, says Father Peter McVery. Loads of time for this guy. Hasn't fixed homelessness altogether, though. Sure, he hasn't. Dublin mums fear for autistic son as special schools say they're full. And I said, this didn't exist to the level it does now when I was a kid. No, anybody with that. Now it seems like it's very much so rampant. What's causing it? When I showed you an article a couple of weeks ago, and that's true, by the way, that article is real. When they were like, oh, we're able to turn the symptoms of autism on in mice, and we're able to turn it off too with a $3, what was a pharmaceutical thing. I was like, whoa, and you're publicly admitting that? That's a bad idea. Because people are looking at that and like, wait, you can turn it on and off? What's going on there? I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, I look into these things sometimes and I'm like, God, you know what? But listen, guys, I'm wrapping up here in the news section. I'm going to jump into the comments. I have gone 2 hours and 12 minutes. That's not bad. I've gone through it tonight fairly quickly, and we appreciate that. Probably be out here at the 3-hour mark by the time we get through the comments, let's be honest. So thanks very much for everyone that joins in. Thanks for listening live. I appreciate that. There's been a very big uptick of 140 people here tonight, straight through the stream. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the time that you've put out of your own time to listen to me, whether it be live or whether it be on a replay. That's highly appreciated, and I can't thank everybody enough, because this show doesn't keep going without people tuning in. And I appreciate the fact that people turned up this week as well too, obviously after last week not being able to do the stream last week. So I really appreciate that. You know, it's always hugely appreciated by me. So thanks again. So I'm going to jump into the comments. So if you want to jump off there, thanks very much. I'll see you 7:30 next Friday, Irish time. And I'll talk to you then. So let's have a look at the comments and see what people are saying. People talking about the age in the comments. 50p. People are talking about pence. Sheepdog says you're forgiven, Ninja Knight. Thanks. CSC says better late than never. Von Malone says you're here at last. Refuse Nick Sean says yo. Good to see here. Dark Man says the life of the head elephant keeper in Dublin Zoo was a tough one, Ninja Knight. I know Godson's in here says hey fellas. Irish Red says Ninja Knight. Did Leo keep you talking on the phone? Oh man. Imagine chatting to him. How you guys? What's going on? You know, and you're like, nah. Armchair Limerick National sends 5 says sound for the stream, Ninja. Thanks very much, man. Much appreciated. Sean Max says George Martin Allen. Yeah, George Martin Allen was an easy guest there for a lot of people. George Sturdy says hi, Ninja. Good to see you here. Let's keep going. Yeah, a lot of people are fans of George Martin Allen here in the comments, and you're right not to be. I wouldn't be a fan at all either. It's not a good situation to be in when you're looking at a guy that's sitting over and presiding cases that's really interested in sending someone to jail that has selling dodgy boxes, rather than people that have been up to really negative things that most people would agree on how that should be dealt with. The teacher Logan says hi. Janie says alright, Ninja. Good to see you here. RJ Phoenix says the freedom of speech bill is a joke. Grip have just brought in membership by all accounts, by the way. They need revenue or they will be in trouble. It's interesting. I'll look for a grip in the chat as well. Rocket sends a super sticker. Thanks very much. Amax says Leo with the hair dye, hair filler, and face fillers. Yeah, he's gone odd looking recently, isn't he? Like, it's more odd than usual. I don't know whether maybe someone in the comments might say it, but you know, there's been a lot of allegations that he's doing Botox online. So I don't know why. Listen, I don't think cosmetic procedures or anything like that ever really look good, you know. And I think that's been promoted an awful lot to women as well too. I'll tell you a story here. I saw a girl last week, you know, when I say girl, woman, you know, she was in her 20s and she was working in a specific place. And I was chatting away to her and just, you know, going through the till, obviously, and chatting away and all that. And she was saying, oh, blah, 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 you know. Gorgeous looking girl, really good looking girl. If you just took away the fact that she had the lips that were like lifeboats, like, I was like, oh my God, like, this girl is fabulous looking woman, like, unbelievable looking woman, like, straight out, honest to God, 10 out of 10. And you don't really see them an awful lot, you don't. And very nice woman as well. And I was chatting away to her and I said to myself, that's mental that girl actually did that, like, put fillers in her lips. Now, she might think it looks good or whatever. Maybe she does, but me personally, it doesn't, you know, and it looks strange to me. Anyway, Irish Red says Ninja Night, Leo tweets his eyebrows. Oh, stop. Fusenick says, so the saying that voting is an illusion, as Cleo made perfectly clear in that grip video. Yeah, it was a really weird one. Like, I looked at that and I was just like, whoa, like, he's basically telling you that the public's opinion doesn't matter at all. That's not good. The point, man, and I mean, it's not good when they're openly admitting that too, by the way. Like, there's obviously, you know, look, as I would say, you know that they think these things in private, but it's very different when it's been taught in private versus been said out loud. You know, when you're actively told to your face, we do not give a rat's, you're like, oh, that's where we're at. Okay. Point man says, how are we all this fine Friday, folks? Have a good one. Good to see you here. Saladin's in says, even and all. Sega Soldier, hello everyone. I'm late to the party. You weren't as late as I was, in fairness. You're probably about 10 minutes behind me there, Satirical Sour. That's not. Don't be too hard on yourself there. Manuel Gosden sends a voice, says, give Levy a shout out, Ninja. He's a good boy. Good to see you, Levy. Hope all's well. Hope I'm saying that right. Is it Levy or Levi? Or Levy? I'm not sure, Emmanuel. Like, make sure you let me know about that pronunciation there. Sheepdog's the same as Ninja. It's a Satirical Soldier. Well done, Sheepdog. You got there. You got there before I did. Absolutely, 100%. A lot of love for Satirical Soldier in the chat. Now, that's a dude I'd like to see run as a politician for sure. That's a champion of free speech, 100%. Derek Man says, Ninja Knight said, allegedly expectedly take a drink, folks. Oh, God. If you play that drinking game, lads, I think at this stage of the game, it'd be a bad news. People would be going to bed early. Rome says, Ninja Knight, are you going to be watching Transformers Rise of the Beast when it comes out? No, I will not be going to see that, especially the fact that they decided to cast a fella who was running around as a Doubtfire that's pretending to be a woman is voicing a female character. Amongst other things, Ron Perlman's another doorboard as well too. Some of the things he's been saying over the last few years. But the kid says, I know Ninja and y'all are not real far right, obviously, but actually, I actually am. Hope you don't hold that against me. Who even knows what far right is, lads? Because everyone's far right nowadays. If you are not mad for Greedos, if you are not mad for all sorts of, you know, open borders getting into this country, apparently you're far right, you know. Try says, Ninja, you should run for election. Thank you. Appreciate that. Derek McMahon says, for anyone new, when Ninja Knight says retrospectively, I mentioned his elbow, you had to take a drink. Oh, stop. The Yanks are screwed, Ninja, says Larry Phoenix. Sure, bricks are going to change the world, the whole order of the world. Bricks? Do you mean Brits, maybe? Jim Griffin says the working class people aren't voting them in. The upper class whose communities aren't being invaded are. That's how we keep getting stuck at the same charlatans. That's a very good point. And I'll be honest with you when I say this. There is a very strange circumstance which you keep seeing again and again and again. It's just like the same politicians who have done no good at all keep getting in. Like, it's been evident for a long time, but it's just really evident in the last probably 5 to 10 years. Saladin says, Ninja Knight, Harris saying Musk speaking out against the new bill has made his job easier and more secure. He's proud of what he does, he said. I mean, I don't think Simon Harris would stand up to scrutiny in a Call of Duty lobby amongst 10-year-olds. Like, I don't think he'd be able for that, let alone be able to be standing up and saying, oh, Elon Musk has just made my job easier. How do you gauge that at all? Elon Musk is actually providing more free speech than you are attempting to. That is the shambolic situation that you find yourself in when a fella who was largely known for being involved in Tesla, who was bought Twitter now, who was all of a sudden been deemed far right because he's like, let's talk about free speech on my platform. He's now far right because he's pointing out what's going on. Yeah, reason for that is because he's pointing out what these people are doing, and they don't want that. They don't want that stuff out in the open, you know. They don't want questions. Questions are bad for these people. That's why you don't see these people now up in a store about this hate speech stuff. They're like, oh no, that's cool. It's going to help us. Let's keep going now through the chat. Derek managed his Credo shot first. Frank Barnett says the Afrikaners have been in South Africa in the 1600s around the same time as the Bantus. The original inhabitants were the San that were forced out of South Africa into Namibia. Beast says Ninja Knight, absolute highlight of the week, this show. Thank you and your laugh for the hard work and effort. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Frank Barnett is keeping up with the people in the channel and don't know anytime I'm saying allegedly respectively. Thanks very much for that. Austin Graham says I was getting into Kamen Rider at the time. MLP was starting to become a thing. Best decision they made. 100%. Bounce is too political. George Doherty says Bow's playing tonight. Total anti-Irish team. I wouldn't be involved in the League of Ireland stuff. The football is awful. It's absolutely atrocious. And here's the thing, by the way, it's a real pity that an awful lot of fellas don't get playing for Ireland. Like, I mean, when you look at the likes of the fellas that are being drafted in to play for Ireland, and people say, well, they're actually playing in England and all that. You should be bringing fellas in. There's other teams that are out there around the world that are bringing fellas in that are like, what was it? Is it Ecuador or somewhere like that? Well, it's not Ecuador. I think it might have been Peru or somewhere like that. I was watching one of those. It was a Copa Americas, I think it was. I was watching. And Peru were playing, and they're like, the goalkeeper is actually a milkman during the day. And I was like, that's deadly. And San Marino were the same. San Marino was another awesome one as well, too, where they're like, the goalkeeper there, he is an electrician. And he just stopped work at 6 o'clock. He's out here playing against the Republic of Ireland. I'm like, that's fantastic. They're not going over to the vast corners of the world and going, I'll tell you what, this fella has a San Marino and grandfather, and we're going to play it. No. Do you know what I mean? If someone will be in the chat, they'd be like, actually, all of San Marino's players are not born there. So it's totally disprove it. But listen, I personally don't think if you're someone there that you're seeing certain characters, and I mean, people would say, oh, you're picking on the fellas that were born here and they happen to have our African heritage. Listen, I didn't want Aidan McGeady playing for Ireland. I was like, that guy is useless. Not only is he useless, but he's not Irish. Like, do you know what I mean? He doesn't put in the hard yards. He doesn't put in the work, you know. And I would have rather seeing a Wes Hoolahan, for example, play over him. No different positions and all that. But like, what if there was another guy that was out there that played on the wing, that played in the League of Ireland? Like, I mean, he should be getting the start. You know, that's just my view. People say, well, he would have been beaten. They were beaten anyway. Like, what of it? Sheepdog says, I missed the JA Ninja Knight, but I can no longer support them. They're fully on board with the woke stuff. Absolutely, for sure. Brown was like, what a Greedo. Cowed. That's what it is. People will be listening and they're like, Greedo. And I'm like, yeah, you can't say certain words and allow the things, and you certainly can't name people that are actually convicted of that, by the way. You have to still dance around it. It's ridiculous. Elena says, I Ninja, the voice of reason in the world of insanity. Good evening. Good to see you. Good to see you in here. Armchair Limerick Nationals is saying hi. 5x5. King Griffin says lefty women are very stubborn that they're right and won't contemplate looking at the other side of the argument. 100%. That's why you see an awful lot of the fellas that they go out with, particularly, are pushed into leftism. Like, you know, if you see and if you know a guy that is totally and utterly transfixed with this nonsense, you're like, okay, dive into what the woman's about. I mean, I know friends of mine that are in the same boat. Like, you know, I know someone that is entirely, and I know this guy to be 100% based. And then you hear some of the stuff out of them and you're like, what are you talking about? And it's like they check when they're with you and you're going, what are you saying? And it's because they're beholden because they're like, oh well, I'm with a woman, and if I want to get yourself, I have to buy into that, and you're like, no, you don't, and that's sad. That is sad. That's a sad state of affairs when you're like that there, and you're buying into nonsense there for just. It's going to be like for gratification, Ninja. That's the word you want to use. Austin Grimes says, but Ninja, no, if the mentally ill are put back into the house, how will the left get the votes to the same power? They'd probably send in a voting slip in there. They would for sure. You could see that happening. They'd be like, those people are being marginalised by being put in institutions, so we need to be sending those slips in. Siobhan says they're planning to plant the old psychiatric hospital in Mullingar, St. Lomans with illegal migrants. I say fill it with politicians and bring back permanent fixtures. And Post is trying to destroy the post offices, making life difficult for the postmasters and mistresses, says Frank Byrne. Yeah, and Post have been coming under some very heavy attack over the last few years. It's been really interesting to watch as well. Some of the people, particularly in rural Ireland, started like, bad idea, this is not good. Good. Love to see rural Ireland. And when I say rural Ireland, people will be like, I live in Meath, it's not rural Ireland. Listen. Outside of Dublin to me is rural. And I applaud everybody that's pushing back on this. If not for the country people are pushing back on this huge. And I really appreciate that because that is making a big difference to this. It's one thing I admire and I've always admired about country people is that even as a Dubliner, when you go there, they're like, where are you from? And they keep an eye, you know what I mean? And they want to know who you are and what you're up to and what you do and stuff like that. And it's a test. They say, yeah, you're all right. You can hang around here. And in fairness, they're forced out the door now when anyone coming in and up to no good, they're like, who are you? What are you doing? Get out. Like, I love that. I have to say, I love that. Really do. I have a big raw as well, too, for Wicklow. Wicklow was a beautiful county. Beautiful. Billy the Kid says Africa is 450 times the size of Ireland. Isn't it mad though, like as well, that you look around and you see different counties, and just on a bit of an off topic here, like you go around to different counties and you just get a little bit. This probably sounds really weird. It probably sounds like a Green Party member here, but when you're running around and you're involved like with nature and stuff like that, it's cool. Now in the meantime, like to get to those places, you need to drive there. So these idiots that want to be like, you can drive there with your electric car. How are you going to charge it? How can you get to the likes of the Wicklow Mountains with an electric car? Are you mental? Karen Bourne says, Sheepdog, thank you for telling me about Ninja. Thanks very much. Much appreciated, Karen. And fair play, Sheepdog, for letting people know about me. Always appreciate it. That's a good point there, Billy the Kid. The word ism is an anti-white word. It has just become a weapon to beat white people over the head with. Yeah, because I mean, you even seen a recent video that came out there. They're coming out all the time. People asking people on the street, like, can you be racist towards white people? And people are like, no, you can't. And then there's one guy, I think he was Irish as well, ginger fella. He was like, all white men are trash. It's like, what a donkey. And because he's standing beside the board, that's why. He's standing beside the board. And he's like, this will get me a few brownie points. Unbelievable. If you're ever in that state, get out. Stop that. That ain't a man, dude. Grim says Equilibrium is a badass film. Refusenick says awesome show that Equilibrium. Equilibrium is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. Refusenick, Sean, I said sub 50 earlier on, and he's like, she's minus sub 50. Like, what are you talking about? Sean Max says, was he a Nigerian taxi driver? Very few native Irish Dublin taxi drivers now in Dublin. Well, I tell you what, lads, I mean, that's going to be hot and heavy as well, too, because I know plenty of them as well, like, and that won't go into those estates, and a lot of them, like, I was talking to a fella not too long ago as well, and he happened to be an African taxi driver, and I said to him about certain places, and he was like, I wouldn't go there. And I went, that's going to be interesting, because that's going to be, well, no. He's like, oh, no. He's like, other than Kerry. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that video from outside Stephen's Green. I have seen it. A lot of people have seen it too. Bosco's in here as well too. Bosco. Where's Bosco gone? Saints and Scholars, absolute stay over. Wearing a hoodie to work is unacceptable. Let's keep going. Yeah, they chance one race at these ridiculous Orden for all. Fergus Power says Ninja Knight Flynn will be on a Kansas Carlsberg next, because if they made public representatives, you couldn't get a worse one than that idiot. An absolute waste of space. Oh, stop, lads. important to run against these people. That was what I'd say. You know, these people in these positions, they're gathering way too much power. Sheepdog says, by appointing the likes of Miss Flynn into positions of authority, just shows how corrupt the system is. A very valid point. You know, but like I said, how long are we going to entertain clowns? You know, we're entertaining the circus for far too long. It's really far too long. Billy the Kids is Godfather 2. Not sure what's going on over there. Let's have a look here now, try to chat and see what's going on. Keep going. Deckman says, like, share, subscribe, please, folks. Support the channel and spread the word. Yeah, Era only as well too. Talking about Greta as well too. Greta's gone super quiet. I remember the tweet that was there from 2018. Gone. Finished. Tim Griffin says 33 likes, 129 viewers. Lots of strangers tonight, allegedly, expectedly. I know a lot of people watching different devices. That's the thing. Like, I know that there's people that would keep an eye on, say, for example, TVs and stuff like that, or whatever it might be, or laptops or something, and some of them don't sign in and all that. I don't mind. Usually the likes balance out anyway eventually. Derek Man says Ninja Knight said allegedly expectedly, take a drink, folks. I also have this theory as well too that they don't want this sort of stuff getting out there, particularly online, because they're afraid as well too the Gardaí agreeing. I think that they're afraid the Gardaí agreeing with people, and they're like, oh no, that's a bad idea. You know, I don't think it was by mistake that I was blocked by Garda info as well too for what I would say pretty like innocuous comments, really, to be fair. You know, I was like, that's weird. And it's like kind of, to me, I was like, maybe that's because they don't want anyone viewing. Like, if you were in charge of that account and you were being told, here, view this thing over here, and you're like, well, I actually agree with that. You have a problem on your hands then, you know what I mean? Gardaí are unarmed because they mutinied in the 20s, says Frank Byrne. Rich says Ninja Knight have to bounce. Good night and God bless you all. Hope to see you all 2 p.m. at the Customs House toward the end of May. Bring your flags and your Irish spirit. They try to shut us up. We get louder. Earning a bra. Absolutely 100%. Sure. It's great to see the energy for that, like, and I think that that's important. Frank Byrne having a laugh as well too there in the chat time about the Gardaí. Fair play to them. Fair play to them indeed. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to sit in a job where I can see all that going on and supposedly be upholding the law and not doing anything about it. It's madness. Cheap Dog says, I think the hate speech law is a great thing. Ultimately, it just shows how scared they are. I think they're in a bit of bother now at this stage of the game. They're like, how do we quell this? And they're like, okay, go to DEF CON. It's like, whoa, you've gone to that level now already. You know. Brett Bowen says, Ninja Knight, great stream of truth, amen. I'm at 22.50 now. People are saying good luck to me at that stage of the game. I'm way behind, obviously. Leon Curtis says, hi and good evening, Ninja Knight, and all. I hope you're all well. My dear Carja, hope you're well. Hope all's good with you. Good to see you here, Leon. Much appreciated being in here. Refusing says, thank Lord, all my children are growing up as I be down to school every day. Yeah, well, look, you know, I think what's another problem as well too is social media that's coming down the road, because they're driving an awful lot of attention, particularly online, towards that. But like when you have guys like Tate, for example, that are out there and kids are listening to him, you know, a lot of them are tuning out likes of Fortnite and things that are just there to keep them entertained. They're looking at streams with Tate and they're like, I agree with this guy's message. You know, I think it's interesting times ahead. We're not on the wane at the moment. I think that we're going to start growing big time. CFT says 150 watching, 103 likes. Boom. That's how it usually goes. See that there. That's a nice update. 3 likes is cool. But like, not everyone can see the like button or anything like that in terms of if you're on a different appliance or whatever. Referendums as well. Frank Barnes says voted no to every referendum since the Euro referendum, voted independent since then. The referendums are just an illusion in my opinion, and I think that commentary now that's starting to come out now is just proving that really. Like, I don't. When you talk to anybody about referendums, I've hardly met one person that's said, no, I agree to that. I did. Maybe the marriage one. Maybe you probably met a couple of people that were like, I agree to that. But the large majority of people anything previous to that, they're like, no way. You know. So make it out what you will. Pen 15 says Ireland unfree shall never be at peace. Ireland is unfree at the minute. It's absolutely unbelievable. But this illusion of democracy, this illusion of freedom, is starting to fade for a lot of people. It's good to see that people are starting to realise, okay, right, this isn't how things go. Like, I mean, when you have Liv Riker not being prosecuted by the DPP, it says it all, really, doesn't it? Like, since then, a lot of people are like, CST says yes, fines way bringing in coin. Leon, of course, says how did night doing with allegedly speculatively malarkey this evening, folks? I think we've done like 10 this thus far. Eric is keeping up with them anyway, for sure. Anyway, Leon. Eagle Day says Ninja Knight overwhelmed them with hate speech against the whites and the Christians that they hate. There is going to be a huge, huge problem on our hands, and I think that's where this amendment talk is coming from too, where they're like, oh, it looks like they're able to use the system to their advantage. Let's try and change that. And I mean, if they specify that if you're a white male and a Christian or something like that, like, then it's gonna get way out of hands really quickly. So Eagle Day, I'm gonna say a pomegranate isn't even Irish. He's not. He was born in England to an African father. He's of African descent and he was born in London. He's a muppet. Birdman says Leon Cortis Ninja Knight was in full flight with the allegedly spectacularly earlier on. I think we need to calm down on that, do we? Do we need to calm down on that? Is that the chat saying? Oh, we get that says Ninja Knight, are you a fan of Keith Woods? He's leading the way strongly since being allowed back on Twitter. Smart guy, loves to hear you both on live together. Yeah, following him there as well, and have seen, I think he was in touch with Elon. I think Elon tweeted back at him talking about that as well too. So I think it was Niall Boylan and himself. I think it was two of the guys that got the attention there, and I was like, well, that's great to see. It's great to see that Ireland has been put on the map. Only says Japan has a 98% plus native population. Love to see it. Arigato. Great country. Karen Bourne's Lego Man haircut, lol. These guys running around with weird haircuts. Like, I don't get it. Really don't. Funky and another sellout. Only says Charlie Flanagan, the favourite for Cheltenham 2024. Plenty of experience running from his own people. Charlie Flanagan, that's another one that's been reminded. Sean Max there says Charlie Black and Tan again. Remember they wanted to commemorate the Black and Tans? That was when people should have been like squinting at them and been like, right, these guys are definitely not up for us here. They're actively telling you that they don't like it. Let's have a look there. DG2 says, see big Sinn Féin names there. Yeah, and I mean, look, lads, here's the thing. People now, I think Sinn Féin have gotten to the stage of the game where they're like, all right, guys, mask is full off here now. We're part of the Uniparty and we are voting with them. Here we go. Erla only says, my surnames of Sullivan makes me sick to see these people on board with sending us out. Frank Barron says, who voted no? I think 14 people. Matty McGrath was involved in there, and People Before Profit. I think People Before Profit's thing was more so what will I say? I think it was more so a bit of a tactic rather than anything else. Like, that's just my opinion on that situation. I don't know if those people would be the champions of free speech that they're saying that they are, not with the recent sort of behaviours. Lloyd Carl says, smash the Reds, bro. By the, I don't know what that's about. Vaughn Malone says, nicely done, Ninja Knight. BG2 says, need a new party more than ever. I agree with you on that one, I do. But the thing is that if you set up too much parties, this is the thing, and I mean, it's something that has been talked about by big commentators, and I mean, the biggest commentators have been like, the left are organised, and they are organised together. Like, they're like, I mean, that bill there, voted for it. They all voted for it. You got a couple of dissenters, but like, to me, my ideal situation would be a mega party of everyone that's a nationalist and patriot, and then that would be the one that would be in charge of the country. Not this nonsense of, we've 5 different. Like, I mean, look, I understand that people have personal problems and stuff like that, and they've issues with each other. But you need to get together. You really do, and you need to stop. You really need to give it over and kind of bandy together. Like, you're seeing people sort of talking about it already and saying, well, there's discontent and disharmony Yeah, and I think you need to turn it the other way. I think you need to join together and show unity, because unity scares these people. This is why they're getting to the where they are at right now. They're like, people are starting to get unified, especially on the logical side, the realistic side of things, and they're gonna come after us. And that's why they're doing what they are doing. This is a scared animal at this moment in time. You wouldn't be doing this if you were in cruise control, is what I'm saying. This is panic buttons in my view. Frank Barnes says, Smearing, Tucker Carlson and Stephen Crowder were a doctor video, 3-minute video on more than 1 minute cut out. Candace Owens. Yeah, to be honest with you as well, with the Stephen Crowder stuff as well, I watched that and I didn't see any sort of issue with that at all. Really didn't. He has been one of the biggest commentators when it comes to these things over the last number of years, and they're trying to put out footage of that, like, and you're like, listen, the people that are trying to cancel Stephen Crowder, you're on this wrong side of history constantly. People are fans of Sip 2 in there. Rod Holt says, bring back the perm. Nah, keep the perms out. Perms are terrible. Don't look good. Heroes 22 says, hi all. Let's see here. Chris Quirk says, read mine or I'll hate you, Ninja. Grim says, Ninja, what toy would you suggest that would look cool on my mantelpiece, about €100 budget? Trying to think now. That's a good question. That's the top of my head. What did I go with? I think if you're looking for a good one, it depends on what you're into. Like, that's what I'd say. Like, I can't suggest something and it's not something that you like, you know what I mean? Sheepdog says, Father McVery is just a paid up and paid off NGO. Shell says, Sheepdog, Ninja I am all speculatively like. We've got Peter Madden, Independent TD. Candace is great stuff again, Ninja. Thanks, man. Love your show. You're a tonic on a Friday evening. Keep up the great work. We will make you Minister for talking. Would you appreciate it, man? That's a good laugh. I like that one. Minister for talking. Craig says, Satirical Soldiers, a true Irishman. Great podcast, real thought provoking stuff. Love it. I'm going to get into that as well, too. I'm going to let people know about upcoming stuff as well, too. I want to get people on and do chats as well with them. And it's going to be a big variety. So I know some people like and others don't. But I think it's a good idea to do them. Karen Bourne says, Sheepdog turned us Americans onto the Ninja. Much appreciated. I've got a couple of people in touch and they're saying to me, yeah, listen, I want to get you on a stream and stuff like that. And I love that. I love when people are interested and want to get me on. And I find the time, though. That's the hard part. Point Man says, having a few points by the fire out the back is that kind of hate speech. Terrible. That's terrible. That is now, I have to say. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about hate as well, too. Yeah, I agree with you on the point as well, too, that he's promoting a certain religion. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But his overall message, I think, is good, you know. Look, you can promote religion in my view and whatever religion you are, but it doesn't mean that people have to completely follow it, you know what I mean? And I believe, obviously, as I said before, that our Lord and Saviour and Christianity is the way to go. Other people don't, and that's their decision. I think that decision is obviously a wrong one, personally speaking, but that's my personal belief, and whatever they decide to do, that's cool. And if their message is good and it's in line with what we're saying, okay, that's great. And this is what they call an interfaith dialogue, isn't it? So anyway, I'll leave you with that one, guys. Thanks very much for being in the stream tonight. Look after yourselves. Have a good weekend. Keep the heads up, obviously, as well, too. Have a good time. Enjoy yourselves. Look after yourselves. I'll talk to you later. Look.